in the morning. You got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, this kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say, we gon' be okay, we just gotta boom bada boom ba. I don't wanna fight, you know that I'm right. Baby, let me talk to your body. We gon' be okay, hear me when I say.
Ma'am, book a session.
We are not being sad because we're single on Valentine's Day. Go buy you some pajamas, the fuzzy pink ones, you know. Watch your favorite romance movie. Make some brownies. Set up your tripod. Take some cute pics, you know. Valentine's Day can be for single people. Self-love is the best love. So get out your feels. Because most people in the relationship bring happy anyway, you know.
Have you been distressed or perplexed? Emasculated. A book written by Edward Fields IV. Everything that needs to be known about men in modern time. Listen, men are not complex. They are misunderstood and unappreciated. Learn what men really feel, think, and desire. Also observe their struggle for acceptance, love, and belonging. A must read for every man in this classic book by Edward Fields IV. Emasculated. Go get your copy now.
Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Yeah. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my ass. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Watch out for those who surround you, need no funny kind. You can't see what's on my brain, I live inside my mind. Out of space and out of sight, you need me in my line. Need no face, don't need no phonies, no. Need no snakes, no only homies down for show. On go. Get a book and get the front and we load up and roll. I got kids, yeah, I got staff, I make a little need more. I sell records, you sell packs, not on my level, no. I'm a pop star, I'm a rock star, I'm a winner. Think I'm not hard, you smoke rock hard waste, man, why you dumb? I'm with airline, we on airlines like we on the run. I'm with take girls run up on me, they done. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Yeah. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my ass. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my. I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, have me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, it don't matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is on me, it don't matter what. Add it up, told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up. Matter what, told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me, it's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck. Country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go stack up. Only buying Carhartt, car till you tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, you matter what. Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up. Matter what. Told ya I'ma do me, why you hating on me? It's not adding up. Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up. Matter what. Told ya I'ma do me, why you hating on me? It's not adding up. Swipe. Just picked up some bands, come again. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. I'm the running man, rapping rubber bands. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. Swerving, making plays, Ferrari red. Never out my zone, touchdown in my hands. Only fam around me, I can't have no friends. Had to cut you off, you left me out for dead. Ever since I was a teen, had prices on my head. Had to cut you off, you left me out for dead. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. Just picked up some bands, come again. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. I'm the running man, rapping rubber bands. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. Just picked up some bands, come again. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. I'm the running man, rapping rubber bands. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. Ballpoint on the beat, ballpoint make them dance. We came up from nothing, now we're making plans. Just picked up some bands, Tell her ask it questions when I come again. On the run like a runaway. Only way is the money way. New chain, no jewelry. No games, don't fool me. 21, been a boss. Take the game, pay the cost. Heard you roll a TikTok. Need to get another watch. Just picked up some bands, come again. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. I'm the running man, rapping rubber bands. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. Just picked up some bands, come again. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. I'm the running man, rapping rubber bands. They do what I do, I'm like Simon says. Tell them run it up. I wake up. I wake up, flex, thumb down that check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down that check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. 9 out of 10, roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turned to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies. Thought I could trust you, I find out you tried to zone me. I'm number one up on that court, I'm nigga gritty. The first one in, the last one out, can't call me lazy. Put in my hours, send the invoice and they pay me. I need 6 rings like MJ and Tom Brady. I wake up, flex, thumb down that check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down that check. No drip, this wet. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it. Y'all gon' make me take that trip way out to Europe. I call up Nigeria, come through in a hurry. Those London boys don't come to play, you should get worried. One false move, find yourself, they're getting buried. Dance with the devil, used to love playing those games. Made some bad decisions that brought my mama pain. I made a promise to her, swore that I would change. I'm on the come up, bet I live up to my name. I wake up, flex, thumb down that check. No drip, this wet, tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down that check. No drip, this wet, tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. Like I work in finance. God bless, no, this not by chance. Don't dab me, you're not my man. Don't at me, you're not my man. Mama said don't buy it if you cannot buy it twice. I cop by the tools and I don't pump fake with the price. Always on the grind, I put in work with all my might. I know that he got me, not by sight. I skirt like Valentines, I slide on landings. Fit 4 days, that's for sure though. Grinding from the grip, no shame, take a photo. Time to take a trip, we head north to the border. Say you filling up, I'm my favorite type of hoarder. I got kids.
All right, guys. We're going to have a great show on tonight. Won't be with you or before you long. But we're going to talk about, is there a hustle associated with Valentine's Day? And then we're going to ask ourselves the question, which is worse, Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day? Get your pens and paper ready, as I'm about to drop some fire for your mind on tonight. Let's do it.
Bringing it to you live once again from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State, where the topography is serene, pristine, and verdant green, where every day is Father's Day, and where manhood is part of hills and valleys, victories and failures, and whereas men, we don't agree on all things or ideologies, but tonight we come together as allies of a common cause, only to dissipate once the crisis is over. Now listen, I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. But before I drop that fire, let's explore why we are doing the Manhood Chronicles.
All right, guys, we're going to have a great show on tonight. I got a special guest coming on. And there's an old saying that says the more things change, the more they remain the same. And they remain the same for a myriad of reasons. Some of it's a lack of self-reflection. And some of it is the lack of hearing what men want. As a licensed therapist, I use the art of ethnocentrism. And also I use the art of science to help people understand what men want. Now, of course, as a licensed therapist, I could use technical language that you wouldn't understand. Therefore, I choose to use reason, practicality, but also I decide to use or strive to use urban trends and social trends to convey the desire of what so many men want, but many times they don't have the power to say it. So let's have a conversation on the night, guys. We're going to be talking about a condition called Valentine's Day. Hold tight. Valentine's Day. And also Valentine's Day. And we can ask ourselves the question, which is worse? Valentine's, I got the wrong things, guys. Valentine's or Galentine, which is worse? And some of you will argue that both are worse or just as bad. And so the conversation, guys, is important because many men suffer in silence and many men don't get their needs met in a consistent way. And this is the day where many men feel like they have to put in, they have to more or less do things extraneously, but still it's never enough. Now I want to take the time to say, shout out to all the good sisters. There are some good women that are striving to do the right thing. There are some good women that have a heart of traditionalism and they love and respect their men. So I want to make sure I say that. But there's a crisis, guys, in heteronormative masculinity. And that crisis is consistent with something called affection deprivation. Affection deprivation is when a man is not getting the proper reciprocity as it relates to giving or more or less receiving affection from his woman that can cause his affect to be in a state of tranquility. Now listen, in the clinical world, the mood is what you see or what the person tells you, but the affect is the presentation. Many men have a very sad or blunt affect on Valentine's Day because they don't get what they need in return. They give, but they never receive. Many of these men that we're talking about, guys, they have situations where, nothing is ever enough. They got to more or less fight for the box of a woman that she gave to other guys for free. But she makes you jump through hoops because you were never her choice or you were never chosen by her. You were just a cleanup man. And that's all right because when you know better, you do better. Shout out to my man Gregory Scotland for the $5 super sticker. Thank you, brother, Gregory Scotland. I appreciate it. And also shout out to XL Pro. I appreciate it. Thank you. That's a deal, right? I appreciate it.
That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right?
But we're going to get deep into it on the night, guys. Hold tight. But the parody or the paradox of this show tonight is called or entitled Valentine's Day versus Valentine's Day. And they both have parallels, but they also both have differences. Valentine's Day is the celebration of women celebrating self-love. Whereas Valentine's, on the flip side, is how a man loves and treats his woman. But sometimes Valentine's Day can be both. Women celebrating themselves, but also having a man in the background or a simp, more or less aggrandizing them. And see, guys, I want to be clear in this conversation because it's not good when you love a woman more than you love yourself. Some of your self-esteem is so low that you don't see any self-worth in what you say or do. And that's not good for you as it relates to the elevation or the evolution of being a man. But Valentine's Day, guys, in my opinion, is tied into what's called narcissism. I'm going to say it again. Valentine's and also some aspects of Valentine's, in my opinion, is tied into narcissism. Now listen, everybody that celebrates Valentine and Galentine's, I'm not saying is a narcissist, but some do have what's called narcissistic traits. And narcissism and self-love or self-aggrandizement is when a person loves themselves and love or don't love that man actually in return. She loves herself more than she loves that man. And that's a problem because in a good, healthy relationship, the woman takes care of her man and the man takes care of his woman. But many times, some of these women, guys, they don't really love you. They love themselves. And some of you, you tolerate it because you've been conditioned to think that's what you're supposed to do. But it's a bad thing, guys, in relationships where you don't have any visibility, where you don't have any respect. And, you just go through the ringer because you think, or more or less feel that that's all you have or that's all you can get. But I'm going to share something with you guys on the night. Women respect men that have high values and have high self-esteem for themselves. The more you love yourself and the more you respect yourself as a man, the more she will respect you. But some of you don't respect yourself because you don't know any better. But now on listening on tonight, since you know better, you got to do better. You got to do better also in relationships because Galentines and Valentines many times is paradoxical. But we're going to get into it on the night. We're going to have a live call-in show, guys. And do me a favor once again, guys, in the meantime, share the stream and donate to the channel if you will. I appreciate it. And guys, let's have a conversation because it's going to be a great show. I would love for you guys to come in because I believe in the evolution of masculinity. But the question is Galentine's Day a hustle? I misspelled that. Is Galentine's or Valentine's Day a hustle? And if it is a hustle, how have you been hustled by Valentine's Day? Because you cannot stand in power if you don't have self-awareness. Then once again, I'm not against a man taking care of his woman. I'm not against that at all. I think a man should take care of a woman if she's a good woman. But it's not for free. And some of you give it away for free because, once again, you don't value yourself. I'm going to pull up a clip to a show that I did today. And then me and my man Ingram, we're going to break it down. But then after that, we're going to have a live call-in. And we're going to talk about this topic. Guys, share the stream for me, please. And thank you to the brothers that have donated on tonight. I appreciate it. So once again, the question remains, is it a hustle in your opinion? And if it is a hustle, how did we get here? And are you men setting healthy boundaries?
Valentine's Day.
In relationships. Hold tight. So we're going to get into it, guys. We're going to break this thing down. And Kevin Samuels talked about it when he was alive about Galentine's Day and why so many are celebrating Galentines because some of them have narcissistic traits and they think that they are better than the men in their lives. So hold tight.
You decide. Fire for your mind. Culture clinician.
Ma'am, book a session.
We are not being sad because we're single on Valentine's Day. Go buy you some pajamas, the fuzzy pink ones, Watch your favorite romance movie. Make some brownies. Set up your tripod. Take some cute pics, Valentine's Day can be for single people. Self-love is the best love. So get out your feels.
But the question, guys, remains, is this just a front? I'm not saying that this can't be true, but is it a front? Because some women are in denial that they don't have a solid man in their life or a solid man for a relationship. Now, we do know that self-love is the best love, but is it just a front because they really want a relationship with a good man, but it's their way to intellectualize or rationalize the current situation because they don't have a man and they're not in a relationship. And there are many single women, guys, because sadly some of them have debased good men. I'm talking about decent good men, not the ones causing chaos, and they're by themselves, sadly, and many are feeling some kind of way on today because they don't have a man to shower them with love and blessings. Keep listening, hold tight.
Because most people in the relationships ain't happy anyway, you know.
While this woman has a level of credence to her own situation about Valentine's Day, Valentine's Day for many men is a day that's tied into what many men feel to be an obligation. Valentine's Day, the day that was based on the Roman god Jupiter, but also the goddess Venus, as it symbolizes Eros love. Eros love is the erotic love that more or less prevaricates the love that a man have for a woman or vice versa. But however, it's Valentine's Day tied to narcissistic traits or narcissistic behaviors, because it appears that Valentine's Day has lost its meaning people feel like they're entitled to gifts on Valentine's Day, a day that many men feel like they have
some of
to
you guys
perform for their wives
they feel like
to gain their favor.
They deserve.
But in
the
relationships
best
should be based
Day.
on reciprocity.
And you should have to feel like you're dealing with a woman that she feels like she deserves. Remember, guys, in a relationship, the woman you're dealing with has to earn her way into your life, and you have to do the same as well. But sadly, many come into relationships thinking just because they're of the opposite gender that they deserve your time, affection, and your resources. And that should never be the case. Relationships, guys, once again, are reciprocal, meaning she looks out for you, you look out for her. But when it's not reciprocated, guys, then it's a problem. Keep listening. Hold tight.
Not just for her own needs, but also for the needs of a man. But many of you men that are listening as I say this on this Valentine's Day, understand the pressure that many of you have when it comes down to providing some type of solace for your woman. Some of you guys can't even speak out or say what you want to say because you're scared if you don't get her anything for Valentine's Day that she's going to be mad. But what does that say about you as a man, that you allow your woman to control you on a day where not only should you be celebrated, but she should be celebrated as well, because consistent with theology, the woman was made for the man. Now listen, I do believe that a man should take care of his woman and he should shower her with gifts and presents, but that's only if she's a respectful, honorable woman. Back in the past, it was once said, honor and obey your husbands, but now they've taken that out of the marriage vows. They call each other partners, and so they don't believe that a woman should honor and obey her husband. Because
how many of you guys in relationships feel that you haven't been honored and respected in a long time? If you feel that way, then hit 1, because some of you guys have been in relationships where you haven't had the proper honor and respect in eons or years. But how many of y'all feel that way? And if so, how has it impacted you in a negative way?
They're seen as the same. But the problem with this type of thinking and what it does to you men is that it reduces your ability to have power in a relationship. Loving a woman and giving a woman what she needs is one of the greatest things that you can do as a man, not only for her well-being, but also for your well-being. But when that relationship is not symmetrical, where you benefit and she benefits, then someone suffers on the inside. One of the greatest crises or the epidemics that I see, guys, now is that so many women say on this day called Valentine's Day, they've taken Valentine's Day to a whole nother level, which in my opinion is tied into narcissism. It's entitled Galentine's Day. Valentine's Day is what you see here in this particular episode, where women more or less come together to celebrate. Tell me what you guys think about this short clip as women.
It's a beautiful day to be a Black woman.
Now, let me say this, guys. I'm not against women celebrating and loving themselves, not against it at all. But I do have a problem with it, guys, when it goes to a position where some women see themselves as greater than what they really are. A lot of this, what you see now, guys, is classic or more or less consistent with narcissistic traits. The constant looking in the mirror, the constant looking or more or less building oneself up can be tied to narcissistic traits. And it's been spoken in some magazines, I think it was in Time magazine, they said that millennials are some of the most narcissistic, but at the same time, Gen Z as well. I want you guys to look at the body language of some of these women. And once again, I'm not against self-love to some degree, but I think it's safe to say that some of these women think more highly of themselves than they should. I'm not against loving yourself, but not to the extreme, to the point that sometimes what you see in the modern world is consistent. They are obsessed with their cell phones. Some of you men have been on dates where the women don't even look at you. The men have done the same thing. But for the sake of conversation, we're talking about women. And they don't even acknowledge you because they value themselves more than they value you.
It's a beautiful day to be a black woman. It's a beautiful day to be a black woman. It's a beautiful day to be.
We had a time at.
And you notice, guys, it's sad that one of the reasons why guys are traveling abroad is that there's a percentage of our women that value themselves more than they value the said community. When it comes down to servitude, they want you to vote for them, or more or less come back and serve. But when they come down to power, then they vote for themselves. And it baffles me that, when guys that in the passport bros say we celebrating ourselves and we showing self-love, it's a problem. And then they try to tell men how they should build, what they should do with their money, and what they should do with their bodies. But when they celebrate out loud, and many do, then, men, most guys don't say nothing because I personally don't care. Love your life and do what's best for you. But you guys are beginning to see the on occurring theme of the self-aggrandizement of so many modern women, to the point men feel compelled to give to a woman that never really gives back to him. Guys, do me a favor, share this stream. It's going to be a good stream on tonight. We're going to have a live show. We're going to have a couple of guys coming in. Donate to the channel as well. And the robot just gave me a tip on the shoulder, guys. He said, tell the people to feed the algorithm. All right, guys, I feel good. I got Google Fiber, man, so my system is faster too. So keep listening.
Valentine. First of all, I had the place hooked up. We was in there with a charcuterie table like Jay-Z and them at the Grammys. It was nice. And it's something about a balloon arch that's gonna do it for me every time. All the girls got to have little mini photo shoots. They tell them this man ain't here for no reason. Better get up and take some pictures. And they looked phenomenal. Outfits giving. Everybody really understood the assignment. And I just had the best time getting to know everybody. Our lawn sister Brandy did a beautiful exercise for us. She got us these affirmation boxes, which we all decorated. So cute. And then we wrote affirmations and put them in there. It was just perfect. Then we got to hear from other girls who run businesses about what they do. The girls got to get some merch. Our girl Tyranny was actually popping shit because she went to school for chiropractic. It was some very dynamic and amazing women in the building. Like this table full of doctors and lawyers. I'm just so happy that everybody came out and had a good time. It was just such a positive vibe. I would actually like to throw 100 of these in. All the pictures are on my Instagram, and I hope I see you at the next one.
Tell you some guys, they don't play no games when it comes down to self-love and self-aggrandizement. And that's why you got to play no games. That's why I advocate for single men that are single to travel abroad, to love themselves, and to celebrate. But once again, sadly, when young men come to celebrate, or men in general celebrate, it's a problem. None of these women are celebrating in silence. They're celebrating. They're celebrating the love of self and women getting together, which I have no problem with it. But it's always a problem when men begin to do the same thing. Keep listening.
No way.
Hey y'all, back with another day in my life. So it was real gloomy outside, ill, but I had to hurry up and get.
I'm gonna pause. I got the man of the hour in the house, guys, of the night. Got my man, King Poundfish in the house.
Salute to you, my brother. What's going on? You can hear me, right?
I can hear you perfect, man. Listen. I got Google Fiber now, man. So I'm cooking. I'm cooking with super high speed internet, man. For this $3,000 computer I got.
I see you got the Valentine's Day
what's your take
shirt
on the subject on the night, Ingram? Valentine's Day versus Valentine's, because they're both one and the same. But it appears that one is an offshoot of Valentine's, where women are beginning to celebrate themselves. And as you're going to see in the clip, some of these women have boyfriends. But what's your take on Valentine's versus Galentine's Day?
Both days is, Galentine's Day, at least I can accept it. It's a bunch of just projection thing, because all these women wish they had men in their lives. And it's just their way of projecting it. It's just, I call it lonely female day. Mm-hmm. And that's what it really comes down to. And, for us, Valentine's Day, it all depends on the situation. For some guys, is happy doghouse day, which is basically stay out of the doghouse, especially for those women that haven't really shown men the respect all year. I use the word respect and honor all year. So stay out of the doghouse day for the men. And Galentine's Day for the women is nothing more than lonely broad day, self-projection of, they really want a man really bad. They just don't. This is that type of, self-internalized, ridiculous nonsense, that they try to play on us, making us believe that we are unnecessary, but they just don't have that man in their life that they want or value to do those things for them. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they're so unbearable, many of them, that this is how they self-project and how they kind of create this false narrative of happiness when they really they're miserable. Mm-hmm. They probably popping some meds after they make these fake videos. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 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 Do you think what you're seeing now is a reflection of what's going to be happening even more in the future? This Galentine's whole concept, the Galentine's Day. We're going to look at some clips from Kevin Samuels in the past, and he talked about Galentine. But the whole Galentine's fiasco, is this more or less of the disintegration, the breakdown of relationships and Black love, in your opinion?
Well, absolutely. And like I said, it's going to be more of this, because especially now that a lot of brothers are wising up. They're getting smart. And a lot of brothers are like, you know what? The guy who's been enjoying your company all year hasn't had to pay $1 in terms of flowers or roses or whatever else. And he's getting premium services.
Right.
So why am I going to spend any money on a woman that doesn't serve my purpose or doesn't offer me any value? Romance is gone. And then the modern women in particular, has really indicated that she doesn't respect or value traditions by her behavior.
Right.
And she's willing to, with sexual liberation, give her body away to certain types of dudes, freely, openly. And then you cannot, and in reality, she can't really expect, well, she does expect it, that men behave in this traditional way. And only really a fool is going to go and behave according to traditional values with a modern woman. It's just not going to happen,
Some would say, what happened to good men and what happened to chivalry? And the argument goes...
Chivalry? You're kidding me, man. What happened to chivalry?
Some say the women killed it. What's your take on that? The women killed chivalry? And if so, how did they kill chivalry, in your opinion?
For the last 50 years, they've been talking about they don't need no man. They don't value traditions. They don't value romance the way they supposed to. Mm-hmm. So for all these years, they've been saying this, and they've been valuing a certain type of man, especially in the community or the community. And that type of guy, is not going to provide them with the type of traditional lifestyle and values that they see, or they see in the typical idea of the American dream or the American family ideal or system, where men are, show their affection towards women that are supposed to have earned this value, in terms of this is something that a woman behaves, because for men, respect is love.
Right.
And you show your man respect, love, and appreciation all year. And because every day is supposed to be Valentine's Day.
Every day is supposed to be Valentine's, right.
If people are taking care of each other. So you're rewarded for that type of respect that you've shown towards your men. But these women want to be, it's almost like a form of narcissism in a way, because they want
it is.
They want to be elevated and rewarded or treated special when they haven't even reciprocated any type of love or affection or any value to that man throughout the year. So I think it's more about them and their ego now, and about them feeling special, than them actually getting something that they deserve or getting the recognition for adding value to a man's life.
What you're saying is profound, man. Never before in human history, maybe after or before the advent of social media, have you seen so much gross narcissism. And I'm not talking about the disorder, but the traits. And we know that narcissistic personality disorder is more prevalent in men. But you're seeing the emergence of so many or many women that think just because they have a golden box, the only thing they have to do is show up,
right,
and more or less present that box ticket, and not do anything else. And I think the greatest shock to their ego, because remember, most people with narcissism have a fragile ego, but they become enraged when you don't feel or more or less fulfill that supply. There was a song that said, "If you think you're lonely now, wait until the night, girl."
Right, exactly. But they haven't really spread no love all year. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing if you're showing a man love, you're showing him respect. And like we talk about all the time, Coach, respect is love for men. If you're not showing a man respect, you can't expect for him to go out of his way and show you a symbol of love, because that's what those flowers are. The flowers, those chocolates, that expensive dinner date is a symbol of reciprocated love. So you've given a man respect all year long, and he reciprocates you by, even though he does something special for you all the time, he goes the extra effort on Valentine's Day, and more of a way of showing this affirmation to not only you, because for the women, remember, it's not only just us buying it's a way for the people around them, the friends, the girlfriends, and all that stuff. Remember, they get a lot of peer pressure from the other people around them, because we're social creatures.
Right.
It's that affirmation of love, affirmation that somebody wants me, somebody loves me, somebody cares about me. If you want a man to bestow that affirmation upon you, the least you can do is provide that man with some peace.
Right.
And the problem with a lot of these women, especially guys in a relationship with, there's not really any peace. So many of these guys that we see now, not all of them, are providing these types of Valentine's Day or whatever under duress. If I don't buy these flowers for this woman, I may not get that once a week marital box, missionary box, or I won't get, or this one might go off the deep end and file for divorce, or this one may, cause problems. So this is duress. So dudes be buying duress flowers and chocolates today. Some dude is sitting at a dinner table, probably in some sexless relationship, sexless marriage, woman talking to him on the side of her mouth, all kinds of funny ways. And he's like, well, you know what? I'm married to this woman. She's hooked in without the pension. She's gonna hit me with alimony if I don't behave myself. And I'm just gonna buy these flowers. You know what I mean? Because I ain't trying to go to court right now. I got a 5-year-old, I got a 10-year-old I got to worry about. That's the type of situation that we see that's being going on right now in the countryside. We have dudes doing things under duress, as opposed to dudes doing things out of joy.
Right.
Because
Right. And they are doing the out of duress. And that's counterintuitive to what's called a healthy relationship. You know, Ingram, I've always said in the past that she only respects power and strength. When you think about power in relationships where both benefit, what does that look like to you?
I think it looks like a situation where a woman respects your masculinity and treats you in a way that you not only feel like a man, but you operate even better in your manhood and your masculinity every day. So that's what it looks like. And I think with women, like you've talked about it, women respect power and strength, but power and strength communicated in your ability to say, look, you could either get with this plan, which is a good plan, a masculine plan, a well thought out plan, because you have to be that type of guy in the first place. And if you don't get with this plan and you're not willing to cooperate or bring value and be reasonable, I'm going to have to leave you alone.
Right.
That's the power and strength. The ability to walk away,
right,
is the ultimate power and strength that a man has in a relationship. Right. Like, I'm not putting up with your nonsense. You know, I'm just not going to do it. And once women realize that men are willing to take the walk, a lot of women, if they're reasonable, or if they like you, or they value you, or they love you, are going to fall in line. Now, if a woman ain't value you and you willing to walk away, she's going to say goodbye, because you haven't even established the situation in the first place. You know what I mean? You have to be her guy. You know?
When you think about a select man, what does a select man look like, in your opinion? And why is mate selection or being select so important in relationships?
Well, because that determines how you're treated. Because if a woman is willing to pick you, money aside, resources aside, she just sees you, and automatically, because women have intuition, and there's certain guys that they're attracted to and they're locked into. There's an archetype of a certain type of man that she likes, she loves. And I always use this analogy. If you were standing on the slave blocks and there were 10 men standing up there, no money and everything, all, she would pick you.
Right.
Because a lot of dudes misunderstand being a woman's sexual select preference with being one part of a ratchet retirement plan. Salute to Minister Jam. He passed away, but I mean he's out of this. But or being the, I call it security man, the safe bet, the safe option.
Right.
She picked you because option number 1 through 7 was was off the table, and you're the guy that had the best pension and benefits plan, and you had stability and whatever. Not that women are not hypergamous anyhow.
Right.
You know, but she picked you as a cleanup man. You know, that may, she might cooperate for a certain amount of time, but usually those guys end up in those happy wife, happy life situation where he's he's on this treadmill of happiness trying to appease her. That's the guy who's spending $500 a night taking her out to dinner, because that's the only thing that, see, like, I'll give you an example. Steve Harvey, he's the primary example. I don't want to use any names.
Right.
That is a guy that's not that woman's sexual select preference, but he has money. So, but he has to constantly be buying and doing things to keep that woman happy, because if he was working on the back of a garbage truck, she would not select him. If you're a woman's sexual select preference and she likes you, she's going to date you, period. That's what she's going to want. Even if she gets with another guy, she might still sleep with that guy. That's her sexual select preference. That's her natural preference. Just like men, we're naturally attracted to certain things, and we're just more reasonable with it. But I think that's why when I see a lot of these guys talk about conditional femininity and women being feminine based upon how much money you make, a woman is either feminine or she's not, just like you're either masculine or you're not. And I think that's where sexual select becomes the real big thing, is that how would this woman naturally be attracted to you? And that is the key for a lot of guys in terms of how they deal with relationship and how they deal with a woman, because without that, I mean, this particular culture, without that, what kind of, it's a tough situation.
Yeah. Shout out to Gregory Scott that asked a question. And guys, if you got a question on the night, please more or less send a Cash App or a Super Chat if you got a question. But Gregory Scott has already given for tonight. So he said, Kosher, can you ask Peaceful Life how he thinks the Passport SYSB movement conversation has impacted the manosphere? Because what I'm noticing is more than a few women show their true colors. What's your take on that?
Well, the thing about the passport, see, the problem is this, okay? It's like medical care, okay? There's no money to be made in the cure. There's only money that can be made in symptoms and diseases or whatever. That's like with the pickup artists and the men selling game, okay? If there's a solution, which is men going to cultures that are respect masculinity, that are patriarchal, there's no utopia anyway. I would say that. That is a problem. Okay, so if I make certain types of content, and there's possibly a solution that can be problematic if I want you to continuously consume certain talking points regurgitated talking points over and over again. So what you're going to get is a lot of pushback to people because they worry about the bottom line, which is money. To me, I don't have no problem being irrelevant because I can talk about a bunch of things. Kosher can talk about a bunch of things. I can start a sports channel, basketball channel tomorrow. I can start talking about other things in life other than men's content. We just do this because there's a need.
Right.
Kosher clinician is a professional therapist. So we can always evolve in the conversation. But the problem is this. Sometimes people like to see men stuck, unfortunately. And like I said, if you're in their Patreon, you're paying money, you're talking about the same thing over and over again, it's quite profitable. So I think, did I answer your question in terms of that? Because I think that's where we see a lot of the pushback is that there's a possibility that if men just start saying, okay, you know what? I found me a peaceful place in this world, in a peaceful culture, where I don't have to deal with the negative toxicity, and I don't have to be in this battle with women, because where I'm at, the women fall in alignment with my masculinity. They respect quality men.
Right. I
don't have to deal, because the current culture that we have is upside down in terms of our values, where the women themselves reward the lowest common denominator with first access to their body in its current, because it's an upside down backward culture that we have, especially in the Black community. And if a man goes into a different culture that is right side up, where they value men for their quality and their virtues, then that becomes the that's not good for certain types of content or content creators. That's bad for business.
Right. Dr. Helen Smith wrote a book called Men on Strike. Do you feel men are on strike? And I want you to hold that thought process. Guys, in the meantime, go check out my man Peaceful Life. Share this stream with 5 people, guys, because I want men to come on and share some of the displeasure about Valentine's Day, and consistent with what Ingram is saying, because we do feel that some are under duress. But I'm going to finish listening to this link, guys, and let's listen to a whole tape.
I've been icing my face as part of my skincare lately, and I fake like it. But anyways, then I went to walk to the gym. It was freezing outside. It was my first day doing cycling, which was so hard. I was in there finna die. Then I had to hurry up home because I had some meetings. First was with one of my travel clients, booking her a trip, and then a meeting with our app developer for our Blessed and Balanced app that we have coming out next week. Then I took a shower finally, and yeah. So then I got this idea for my sis Kiamani. So I went to Dollar Tree to decorate my tree for Valentine's Day because I was having a Galentine's Day party. I put these cute lights from Dollar Tree on my bar. I also got this stuff off Amazon, so I hung that up. My friend Jazz was over helping me blow up balloons, help me decorate. And y'all see how it turned out, super cute. for the Valentine's Day party. Now it's time to go get dressed. So started doing my makeup, which I never do ever, but it came out cute.
So Ingram, there's nothing wrong with self-love, but there's a thin line between self-love and narcissism. Tell me what you saw in that particular picture.
I saw the Academy Award for acting. I would say check her medicine cabinet. Right. The truth is in her medicine cabinet. She's probably got all kinds of psych meds in her medicine. A lot of these broads be on medication, man. Right. And you'll be surprised who's taking. And I'm not knocking psych meds. Some people need to be on medication. Right. They have various mental health issues. This one here, and I know you're a therapist, probably suffers from depression.
Could be.
Because this is the projection is the absolute. Because here's the thing: men and women were designed to be together. Men and women were designed to love each other. Mm-hmm. And when you disturb the balance of the universe, what you have is this false projection that you see promoted so much by these delusional women. I don't even think it's delusional. Like I said, she's probably on meds. She probably cries herself to sleep at night. She's miserable. She's probably lonely, or she's probably not getting the outcome that she wants from the men that she wants. Because there's a dude that she really wants that's not buying her any flowers. Right. Because think about it, women have a biological advantage over us in terms of being able, because they can attract multiple amounts of men. So for her to be in this state of singleness on Valentine's Day, buying all this crap for herself, it's a complete show of failure. I mean, it's absolute failure, man. Like I said, check the medicine cabinet. What I always say, including you guys that date these women, please look in the medicine cabinet. You'll be surprised.
No, I totally agree, man. And it's sad. Shout out to my man, James Turner. Haven't seen you in a minute, brother. And guys, once again, get the likes up, donate to the channel if you have not. We're going to keep cooking in a minute. I'm going to drop the link and you guys can tell your story about Valentine and Valentine horror stories and while being under duress to more or less give to a woman, because it appears that many men are checking out, and many are checking out because of the Valentine's hustle. Have you men been hustled by Valentine's Day? And are you changing your mind based on the behaviors that you see now with so many modern women, sadly?
We got these cute matching pajama sets from Nasty Gal, so I was really feeling it. So freaking cute. My nephew Sainty, this is Jazz's puppy. But yeah, then it was party time. It was a potluck, so everybody brought a dish. It was fire. We all ate. It was really good vibes. We drank a lot.
And you know what, Peaceful Life?
I'm sorry, man. That's just disturbing. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to laugh. I'm trying to take these you understand? I can't take these women serious, man. It's comedy. Like, to me, I laugh at it because that goes against common sense. Like, that's that pump fake.
Right. It's a pump fake.
That's a pump fake, dude. Who's jumping to that? That's just misery right there. Huge. That is human misery. I can look right through them. That's human misery. Them broads are crying themselves to sleep, and one decent looking dude walk in that whole room, and all of them will just go towards him like a magnet. That's how desperate they are for a solid man to walk in that room.
Right. Not only that, but there's male attention, man.
Male attention,
male love, male support, but
desperation there.
Many don't understand it, like you were saying, and I've said before in the past, men and women were optimized from biology, but also optimized to be synchronized. Right. Men and women are better when they're interdependent together. But what women don't understand, when it comes down to a masculine man, you're not going to run that relationship. So when you're dealing with a masculine man, there are going to be problems if you think that you're going to control that man. Because masculine men that are righteous men understand that control, healthy control, is important in a relationship. We're not talking about abusive control. I'm going to do a show on controlling at some point, but it's very important, to say the least, but some don't get it. But let's finish listening, because I agree with you, Ingram. These women, they look miserable.
Took some shots, And it was just overall a really good time. We had so much fun.
Please leave your man at home.
Now, guys, to some of you simps, and give me your hard-earned money, your woman is going to get her back blown out on Valentine's Day. Listen to the lyrics of the song, because some of these women are going to get it in with other men. And what guys don't understand, Ingram, is this. If you are a woman's selection, you don't have to do all of that to get her love and affection. But if you're a demand that she's selling for it, then she's going to make you jump through hoops. Listen, if a woman is crazy about you, you might not have to do anything for it because she loves you for you. But if you got to constantly buy a woman and jump through all kinds of damn hoops, that woman's not for you. Hold tight.
The club is full of ballers and they pockets full of rum. And all you fellas leave your girl with her friends, cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping. I ain't thinking about my man tonight. I ain't thinking about my man tonight.
Now listen what she said. She said, I'm not thinking about my man tonight. Some of these Valentine trips or Valentine celebration guys is like girls' trip as they're getting it in. And see, some of you guys don't believe it, but Megan came and told me, Ingram, in the background, and Megan told me, Ingram, she said that they tricking y'all.
They tricking y'all. They tricking y'all.
Yeah, some of these women are tricking y'all guys, and they tricking too. They tricking off money to other men, but also they're tricking y'all because they think or want you all to think that they're wholesome women, but they're not wholesome. So Valentine's is not only the celebration that some women have when it comes down to celebrating so-called self-love, but it's the Valentine's from her man that's a weak man at home or unsuspected man, but also it's her getting validation from her girlfriends and other men, but also from her man when he get back home. And can you imagine a woman, man, she's going out with her girls on Valentine, having fun, and then coming or more or less bringing that body back to you. And a lot of guys don't even recognize. Shout out to my man Ingram. He said, my man James Turner, he said, kosher all that damn food and none of them cook.
None of them. You see the big one walk up in there. The big one ran up in there. I was like, oh my God, that's the party of misery.
Hey, shout out Ingram, James Turner. And that's a deal, right? I appreciate it, man.
That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
That's funny.
It's the money.
And some of these men, Ingram, are single, and that money would be better spent traveling abroad for traditional women that have been trained from the cradle to honor and respect them, with the understanding that women abroad are not perfect, that women at that basic level are the same, but the good thing is that they don't adhere to carnal hypergamy, many of them. What's your take on that, brother?
Oh, absolutely. The brothers have gotten smart, man. And like I said, any of these women that you see in this clip, if they had any success with men, would not be sitting around with a bunch of broads on a Valentine's Day, having no Valentine's Day garbage party. Ain't no successful women with men that's doing that. They're just not going to do it. But no, brothers are smart because they're realizing that there's some dude that are enjoying all the blessings and he ain't paying no money. He ain't buying no food. He ain't paying for no $200, $300 dinner dates. Her sexual select preference is coming over in the middle of the night around 10 o'clock, and he's enjoying the blessings. And that's what dudes are getting wise to the game on. They're just not going to pay. And especially now with the passport movement and options opening up. Look at this. That's misery right there.
Hold on. Shout out to my man Dustin Nuts. Right. He said, what's up? Shout out to Dustin Nuts. And that's a deal, right? I appreciate it, brother.
Right? That's a deal, right?
Man. No, nobody's messing with them yet. That man.
We know who getting on Valentine's Day. It's Raekwon the Man.
Hey,
and Raekwon the Man and Day and them say if you try anything, they're gonna say it's on my mama.
Yeah, put chain on them. Was on my mom. They be bringing mom. Kill some of my mom, bro. They back me like. That's on my monkey. That's on my monkey. That's on my.
Yeah. See, we don't do that. Like we don't try and replace women, and try and redefine what We don't try and replace women. Only women come up with this nonsense, this fake nonsense that they try to do, man. It's all fraudulent.
It's very.
like what the hell? Y'all got like there's some lonely broads over there.
Yeah. Many of them alone. Hold tight. Let me pull it up, man, so you can see it, man. Hold on for a minute. Hold on for a minute. James, say one with the back and back. Hold tight.
Please leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and they.
Y'all crazy, man.
Yeah,
man, it's over. The party, baby.
The party jumping.
Oh Lord. This is failure, man. This is failure.
Ooh, Lord,
this is failure. That's just failure, man.
Yeah, it is failure, man. But listen to the lyrics, guys. Hold tight.
Pockets full grown. And all you fellas leave your girl with her friends. Cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping. I ain't thinking about my man tonight. I ain't thinking about my man tonight.
Now listen, guys, she said, I'm not thinking about my man tonight. That's what she said. Hold tight.
I ain't thinking about my man tonight. I ain't thinking about my man tonight.
I ain't worried about my girl, alright?
All you ladies leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and they pockets full grown. And all you fellas leave your girl with her friends. Cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping. Ladies leave.
Yeah, they jumping, man, and
the absurdity of it.
They don't believe what Megan told me, because once again, like Megan said, they tricking y'all.
They tricking y'all. They tricking y'all.
Yeah, they're getting it in, man. Y'all think they're going with their girlfriends, but just like they be having fun on these girl trips, they having fun on Valentines. But go ahead, Ingram, go ahead.
No woman that got a quality man in her life is spending no time with a bunch of women on Valentine's Day at some lonely, miserable broad party with a bunch of self-projection women. All the women in there probably don't even like each other. They talk about each other behind each other's back. Let me tell you something about these women. Well, you know it even better than me. They do not like each other. They, in terms of, being true friends. Mm-hmm. So they don't really want to be there, but they have to project this thing. This is all for social media because, again, we talk about it, sad people with happy pictures. So they're going to do this projection party. They're all going to get on social media about 10, 11 o'clock at night if they don't got somebody coming out over to, if they don't have one of Raekwon or Man coming over, and they're going to be interrogating that guy. Where's my flowers? You've been having fun with me all year long and you ain't bought me no flowers. Mm-hmm. And that chick is that dude is going to be like, what? Girl, get out of here. This is a midnight thing. So he ain't buying no flowers. They don't have no real man in their life. You talking about going to sleep when desperate and depression. So it's all a front for social media. And that's what I'm saying. That's why they're constantly posting these things on social media, because, again, we know what's going on, and you know it even better than all of us because you're a therapist. You know what's going on when they're out of balance with nature, trying to project for social media and internet, because that's why you see many people sometimes, even on Facebook or on some of these social media pages, these women, they post 20 times a day. that's because they're looking for that dopamine rush. So this is all a dopamine play.
Dopamine rush, right.
So they get these likes and they get that dopamine rush and they're trying to go to sleep tonight because the dude that they messing with ain't worth nothing. Because if they had a dude that was worth something, ain't no way they're going to be at this party. No way.
I totally agree on that, man. Shout out to my man, Dusty Nuts again. He said they don't like each other, but with trauma bond off hating Negroes.
Oh, they hate each other.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
All right. James Turner said that on my mama gang, I'm not about to give up that money on Valentine's Day. And James Turner is correct.
Hell no, them dudes ain't paying nothing.
They ain't giving nothing up. All right, hold tight, guys.
Leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. And all you fellas leave your girl with her friends. Cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping. I ain't thinking about my man tonight. I ain't thinking about my man tonight. I ain't thinking about my man tonight. I ain't thinking about my man tonight.
So basically, they about to go to the club to get lit, but their man think they out, with the girls at Valentine's Day. And that's the gross narcissism, Ingram, but also rampant promiscuity. They don't value their men because they've had so many. What's your take on that?
What is the mood stabilizing medication that these broads are probably on? Because they what is it, mood stabilizing medications. I know Depakote back in the day.
The Depakote, SSRIs.
Wellbutrin. Wellbutrin. I need to see what's in their purse. Because like I said, but again, this is all projection. And it's a sad state though, Coach, that we've gotten to this point in life where women are now pretending to be happy without men. And that's just that's where we've evolved to, because the choices are not there, and they've dried up the market for themselves. But let one quality dude walk in that room. Let a single bachelor dude walk in that room, one of their preferred type guys. You will see the treason in that room fast.
Right.
They'll roll each other beneath the bus. He would be the center of attention. That's how desperate they are in terms of needing that match. Because women feed off of our masculine energy and our male presence. So again, this fraud thing that they're perpetrating is kind of fascinating, even though it's disturbing a little bit. And and it's a sad state, because that just shows, that's proof right there that the men are getting smart, that men are listening to men's content, and men are not even patronizing these women that don't really add any value to a man's life. They're not feminine. They're not cooperative. They're not submissive. They can't get along with a man. That's why they're there. They're there because they cannot get along, and they don't respect masculine men. They cannot get along with a man. So they have to create their own fake. This is Narnia. This is love Narnia. And they have to create this world of complete delusion just for that dopamine rush that they think they're getting. But, late at night, that's when the misery is going to kick in.
Right. And it's unfortunate, man, because people have more now, Ingram, but they're more miserable. They won't tell you that, but you can feel the miserable energy for so many of them. But what these women are doing, they're fooling their boyfriends, man, which is sad.
I ain't worried about my girl, all right?
All you ladies, leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown.
And basically, guys, what you see is that you continue to see the gross narcissism that could be associated with some women, to the point that they celebrate themselves, but many don't celebrate or have a man in their life. What people forgot is what women of the old understood. Women of old understood that in a relationship, you had to come to the table as the seller to give that man something redeemable or worth value. But now in modern times or modernity. All right, Ingram, that's consistent with what you talk about. You talk about relationship capitalism. I talk about relationship inflation. Let's look at the two variables: relationship inflation. Relationship capitalism versus inflation, because they both parallel. But let's talk about it.
Well, the inflation is what drove the capitalism, which is they've overvalued themselves and overpriced themselves, to the point where men that are reasonable have just left them alone. And it's more so in the mindset of competition, that men are going to find women that are less irritating, that are more cooperative, and that are less and easier to deal with. And these women are there alone because they're hard to deal with. And I'm not making a general statement, but the reality is that's why they're there. They're difficult to deal with. And men that are reasonable, and because, like you said, they're inflated. They've inflated their own sense of self, their own sense of value. Look at them right now. Like I said, social media has not helped. Social media is probably one of the worst things for modern women, because, like I said, they can get a certain amount of. It's become like I always say, attention. Attention is the new dangerous drug in America.
Yes.
And that's the problem. Is they're doing this for attention, but behind the scenes, the problem is very traumatic. But they have created this delusional sense, and they've inflated themselves, their value. The men have used relationship capitalism and say, look, your value is too much. You're charging too much, and you're not providing anything. And just like anything in business, when something is overinflated in prices, the men will move elsewhere, where they're going to get a better quality in terms of the experience they get with the male-female dynamic of femininity, cooperation, and women that are willing to pour into men that are traditional, that are masculine, and that provide and protect them. These women don't want they just want worship. They really aren't offering any value to men. So men is like, you know what, you broads can go over there and cannibalize each other with your Valentine's Day celebration. There's no way to be found. Dudes are like, nah, they're not taking part in this.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. Men are waking up. Some don't like it because men are never getting to get their power back. Hold tight.
Many women don't come to the table to give that man anything. Shout out to the good women that love their men and take good care of their men. We know that there are good women out there, and I say salute to you ladies. But sadly, it's not enough that come into the relationship with a mindset to give to their man. Shirley Brown wrote a song back in the past, All for My Man, and what she basically meant is that she was willing to do anything for the sake of that man and that relationship. But many in these modern times see themselves as the prize, see themselves as the table, see themselves as better than their man. What can we learn about the pathology of Valentine's Day? Is Valentine's Day a day for losers? Is it a day for suckers? Is it a day for broken men that are in sex relationships where they barely get sex, as it's been reported that 25 to 50% of relationships are sexless? What can we learn from this? And how should men move forward if they seek to more or less calibrate their mental health, but also not be a slave to, that box, because they realize if they don't do anything for their woman, they might not get anything in return. Enjoy this day. Enjoy Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day if you're single. See it for what it is. Men, continue to set boundaries in the relationship. Love yourselves. Love your woman, but never.
All right.
Yeah.
Hold tight. Did I drop off? Hold on. All right. So what's your take on all that, Peaceful Life?
Oh, look. At the end of the day, they've lost their mind, because you imagine, okay, if I said to you, Kosher, I'm having this nice big party, this big birthday bash, or this big party. Not a sports, I'm not having like a Super Bowl party or something like that, but I'm having a party at, like, say, a restaurant or whatever else, and we're all going to get together and have a good time. And you come there, and there's no woman in sight. It's like a complete sausage fest, and then everybody's just standing around, a bunch of dudes, no women around. Would that be any fun with no women around? So could you imagine a bunch of women getting together to celebrate an event that's supposed to be about men and women and the celebration of love between the two, and there's no men around? that's like the opposite of a sausage fest, and that's complete misery. If I had to go to a boat party, it's just all dudes, no women, and we're having a great time. We're supposed to be having a great time. I would say this is a terrible party. I'm not coming back. It's just not. There's no fun. There's no fun if there's. I mean, dudes can have fun, but I'm saying like we go to a football party or whatever, but no women around. I mean, what's the fun? There's no fun. Women and men were meant to be together and meant to have good times together. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's because we don't want to go no sausage fest. Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine the internal misery of the women at Valentine's Day party is probably just the equivalent of what a man would experience at a sausage fest.
Shout out to my man Barry Hamlin for that $5 super sticker. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Guys, I'm going to drop the link in a few minutes and you guys can join me and Ingram in this conversation. But anyway, let's go and explore. Let's go and explore something. Kevin Samuels called Valentine's Day, Galentine's the worst day. And let's listen to some of his quotes, and then let's talk about it. Hold tight.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, sometimes married folks just want to be a part of the conversation. And somebody asked about that too. Do you have to be single to be in Patreon? No. You know, the events aren't, you know, because somebody in Patreon asked me, could they bring their spouse? If your spouse wants to join Patreon, Patreon is going to be a community, an online community. And see, we're going to have to start having conversations about these things. And I would say to Black men, this is also a challenge you're going to have. This is why we need our own media. To put out our own content you can make. But I think I'm going to use mine as going to be much more of a community. And membership has its privileges. And if Black men, I don't want to say talk to you, what would Black men have to do to get the same kind of loving treatment that you give to your Black male gay friends? I guess that's the best way to put it. What will Black men need to do to get the same kind of loving treatment you give your gay male friends? Because understand something, public displays of affection, I know women who...
All right, so this is what we talked about earlier, Ingram, affection deprivation. A lot of men are suffering from affection deprivation. Talk about the stories that you've heard from your friends when it came down to sexual relationships, but also affection deprivation. And this is the day where some, not all, feel like in order to get any level of affection or sex, they got to overspend or overcompensate. What's your take?
Right. I mean, because a lot of brothers said, you know, I've been around guys that wife hadn't had, you know, intercourse with them in 6 months or maybe once or twice a year. So they're dealing with miserable marriages and miserable situations, or they're in a situation where their woman or their lady is a complete B and not showing them any right type of respect, not really valuing them or pouring into them, even though in many instances they're working hard, they're working long hours, they're taking care of the family, they're doing the right thing. And for whatever reason's going on, because everybody has a personal problem and there's always two sides to every story, but they're doing things just to keep the relationship or keep the marriage together. There's really no passion or no love or whatever. The guy is like basically a drone going through the motions of things to keep the peace. And here comes Valentine's Day or this special day or anniversary day. And you have to make this person, because of the, you know, the social contract or the social norms, make this person feel special, because again, it's a projection to not only her, but her friends, people at work, her family or whatever else, because they're going to ask her, well, what did he do for you? What did he buy for you? And she's, and for her, in order for her to feel validated or affirmed in these environments, if she can't say, well, my husband did this and took me to dinner and spent this kind of money on me, she's going to put that pressure on you or take it out on that guy. and there's going to be possibility of a huge blow-ups and problems in that household for some guys. So what happens is under duress, even though the woman has not performed, under duress, that guy says, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and buy these flowers. I'm going to go to the store, maybe go to Rite Aid or somewhere and buy this card. And this guy's buying chocolates and cards. And he has to sit down there and he has to provide these things just to keep the peace.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he doesn't do it, he's going to get heat from her. He's going to get heat from her family. And then you have the social. And some guys just be like, the hell with that. I ain't doing none of this. But it's a tremendous amount of social pressure on these women from other women, because other women are going to come and say, well, you know what? Your man is trash. He ain't do nothing for me. You know, because again, there's this expectation in the culture. Mm-hmm. So she has that pressure and he has that pressure, even though that woman has not been, I can't even say the words, taking care of him physically, right. Hasn't been taking care of the household the right way. And, you know, and like I said, nobody wants to sleep with a porcupine. That guy is, you know, she is probably made sex so miserable that guy's like, you know what, I don't even want it tonight. You just go ahead and keep that. Mm-hmm. But now he doesn't feel loved because like he doesn't feel respected, but he still has to do and go through the motions. So we have a lot of people that are just going through the emotions of things, because that's why I always talk about a quality relationship or quality marriage. What some people don't like. See, people like to talk about marriage and single, and I look at happiness and quality, and I'm more of an anti-torture guy, because if you can have a happy quality marriage, or you can have a marriage, and everybody's going to have the ups and downs, where people are just coping and trying to avoid, and most guys just try to avoid the divorce court. Because let's say a guy has a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old, and he's got a miserable be at home. He's like, I got to wait these kids out. Some guys will just sit through a bad marriage or relationship and wait the kids out until they're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. They've already checked out and dealing with her. The guy's probably drinking a lot of liquor, doing all kinds of stuff. So he ends up just going ahead and paying what he's got to pay to keep the appearance mm-hmm. of functionality. So that's what you end up having with Valentine's Day. This guy's like, damn, he survived the anniversary, and then and Valentine's Day comes. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and pay what I got to pay, because I don't pay what I got to pay. I got to deal with this smoke.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Guys, I'm going to drop the link. Shout out to my man, Big Bass. I want to ask you the question. I know you're a single man, Ingram, but what have you seen in the streets, man, when you got ground, when you got boots on the ground, with the struggles of many men, but also when you've seen the women? I think I asked you earlier before you answered those two questions. Maybe you told me, but what were some of the stories that many of your guy friends told you about bad relationships? Or maybe you told me, I don't know, my mind is somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, the streets are just from the streets perspective right now is what you have is a lot of single women. If you're a single guy, I'm new on the market, maybe a few months on the market now. And what I get is the lectures. But what happens is a lot of women offer men a bad deal when they don't even know it's a bad deal, because it's an expectation. Like they expect black men to be cleanup men. And they won't even consider that the deal that they're offering is a bad deal. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. They don't, things that
who would die will openly tell you they'll catch a fake.
You know, something playing in the background.
Oh, hold tight. That's you.
That's me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can hear it?
No, it's off. It's off. It just popped in where I think you hit the video. But it's just that what's going on out here now is that, okay, they're not willing to adhere or adjust to anything that black men say they want. They don't think we deserve the things that we ask for. Mm-hmm. Or they think that they can come to the table after they have had their fun or mismanaged their youth and try and rebrand themselves. So the rebranding thing is big out here right now.
Right.
You see it. We saw with Brittany Renner. She's one of the biggest rebrand. All the things that she did in her past, she wants that to just be overlooked.
Right.
And just giving it. So what we see is the more rebranded women coming to men. And you know what a rebranded 304 or rebranded woman that have mismanaged her youth, or women that have gotten out of relationship with good men are back out here in the market. It's an interesting perspective, I guess, from a single guy's perspective, looking at it.
It's very interesting, man, looking at it, man. And unfortunate at the same time, as so many men are struggling. Guys, the link has been dropped. Feel free to tune in. Hold tight. We had something with Kevin. Listen to this real quick. Hold tight. Let's finish listening to what he was saying in a few minutes.
Paid for one of their gay friends. But you talk about write a love letter to their man? Oh, no. They hug on them. They kiss on them. It's like, okay, well, why don't you do that with your boyfriend? And guys, this is not something new. Kenneth Hawkins says, for real, though. Let's see it's the same mentality with male. It's the same mentality with male best friend, friends on men. It's a male emotional tether that you don't have to commit to. Okay, that's tethers. Let me put that up there. I think that's a good point. Joshua says this. It's a mentality. Okay. With male best friend.
And you know, you got a lot of guys, Ingram, in the friend zone.
Oh, yeah.
That are waiting to sniff. And sadly, they're denigrating themselves because what they don't understand is that many times those women don't even value them.
Oh, no.
Many would use them on Valentine's Day for self-affirmation and also to build their egos.
The pressure is on. The pressure started earlier, probably last week or week before, setting guys up to do something special for them on Valentine's Day. Because these modern women are very good at extracting value out of friend zone guys or guys that they would not really sleep with to compensate for what they're not getting from the guy who comes in at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. So they'll use those guys to carry out, and they'll create a balance. They'll get that guy to come over at night, and he's probably got a couple of women to do all the whatever. And like I said, that's why I tell these guys, you know, that friend zone DM stuff, that's for the birds. I don't know who's doing that nowadays, man. If you're not her guy, what are you doing?
Let me show you something, man. When you got like that, my wife hooked me up with something. I had to do.
What's I'm talking about right there?
That's what happened, guys. When you select,
right.
When you select,
you get served.
When you select, you got to jump through hoops, man.
You got
that's what your wife would do for you, or your woman will do for you when you select. But some of you guys have not been select because y'all are jumping through hoops. They get validation, man, to say the least. Guys, the link has been dropped. Go check out Peaceful Life's channel. But in the meantime, the link has been dropped. If anybody want to come in and tell their horror stories, feel free. Now, Ingram, you were married before in the past, man. Did you feel compelled or under duress to give to your wife on Valentine's Day? And if so, how did you deal with it?
To be honest with you, depends on what point in the marriage. Like in the beginning, not so much. But towards the end, I was more, I didn't just start being a rebel today on YouTube. To me, I've had those Valentine's Day where I just say, to hell with it. I ain't doing a damn thing. Mm-hmm. You can go file for divorce all you want. I really don't care. I checked out many times because my perspective on this is if you're not providing me with respect is love for men, if I don't get the respect that I want, I check out of those situations. But I've had the pressure, not so much. And there's been times I have done it, but not so much for for that person, but just to keep the peace.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a lot of married men do. They do things to keep the peace, as opposed from a point of genuinely saying, okay, this woman is really pouring value into me. Let me make sure she feels special on this day and give her that affirmation that she needs for her friends and her family. It's one of those things where it's like you come to a point of reason, and you say, well, let me just take the logical move, because that's what it really comes down. Men are just peacekeepers. Good, honorable, hardworking men. They want to come home to a peaceful house.
Right.
And they make certain difficult decisions that I think, inevitably, survival decisions are the survival decisions. That's what I think,
James trying to say, we should clap for that. You've been married about 80 years. Hey, James Turner, man, we got to do that show, man, called The Chronicles of James, man. But brother Yusef, how would you like to add to the conversation, man?
No, I was just listening in. I thought the conversation is just hilarious. It's hilarious to me. A peaceful life is having all these different these different quotes. I never heard of Valentine's Day. That's the first time.
Right.
In fact, it took me a minute to try to figure out what that even meant. So I was like, oh, gal, as in woman,
yeah,
Valentine. So solo thing for women. So I was like, oh, that's clever, silly, but clever. Yeah, I just it's comical. I can't really give you any horror stories myself personally. I've had pretty good luck.
Okay.
With actually, it's kind of reversed with me. It's like, I think Sweetest Day is the one that's the equivalent for men. So I've had women just give me stuff on. I don't ask for shit. They just give it to me. But as far as me going out of my way to do anything for Valentine's Day, I haven't done it. I haven't done it. It hasn't been asked of me. And if I didn't want to do it, I didn't want to spend my money on it. It just, like Peaceful Life was saying, if you're the type of man that a woman wants on the physical level, not just resourcefully, then they're not going to even think about any of that. They're going to go out of their way to give you things on what's supposed to be their special day. So that's been so I can't give you any like horror stories, anything like that. So
shout out to my man, Yosef Benjamin, for that 3. Let me start calling you Roxanne Sean Tate, man. I told you should change that damn picture. I told you to change that damn avatar, boy. But what is
oh, man.
But what are you seeing, man?
Take the player, not the game.
What are you seeing with a lot of them single women, man, out there in the streets, man? What are you seeing, man?
I see it mostly on YouTube. I mean, if they're in the streets and they're projecting on social media, then it to me it's like a show. It's meant to get shock value. It's meant to do exactly what you're doing now, which is talk about it. It gets them more of what they're looking for on a day that they're supposedly not getting attention, which is all this attention, right? And this is an example of it. So they're getting it, and it could just be like an inside joke. They know that it's going against the grain of what's normal, and that was the intention. It's working clearly, right? So, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know if they're filming it, laughing about it, and they're actually with the man that they're dealing with, acting as if they're single ladies and stuff but they're really not. They're just putting on that facade and perpetuating whatever stereotype that can get them the views and the clicks and the likes that they need, and most importantly, the attention that women naturally crave.
Is Valentine's Day a hustle, in your opinion? And if so, how?
Well, like I said earlier, only to those who don't know how the game is played. And if they choose to play in that game and choose to be pressured into playing it for keeping the peace, so to speak, then yeah, it's a hustle. For me, it hasn't been a hustle for me since I think 9th grade when I brought flowers for a girl on Valentine's Day. I was into the whole romanticism. and I found out that wasn't really the move. So I learned back in middle school that it wasn't reciprocated, right? If you're that guy doing that, because the girl I gave the flowers to, I found out a week later, she ended up going with some other guy who didn't give her shit for anything. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe if I don't do that and just do what he did, and that's just the blueprint that I followed ever since. So some guys, they keep going through that same getting hustled situation, and they don't learn from their mistakes, or they don't learn from their lessons or experiences. And some guys like myself, I learned at that particular early age.
Right, no doubt. Brother Lockie, how you doing, sir? Hold tight, Brother Devin. So,
sorry about that. Yeah.
No, you're fine. So let me ask you a question. Is Valentine's Day, in your opinion, a byproduct of narcissism?
Absolutely. It's absolutely.
Talk about it.
It's an expression of I don't need no man, and they're trying to use the ceremony of actually needing a man to express that the most, you know? And, you know, back in the day when I was a little bit in better shape, I was a D dancer, man. And I used to work at some of these gal parties and stuff. So I definitely know that they definitely do need a man. Whether they want to, I mean, if they actually get bold enough to invite a Chippendales dancer, a male dancer to one of their parties, you'll see exactly how much they need a man by the way they behave when that brother undresses. Okay, I'm just telling you how they act. And this whole thing of, you know, I don't need a man. I'm so independent. We got doctors and lawyers together. We all had so much fun without men. That's all based on them believing that we are there for them to refuse, for them to have the right of first refusal. Mm-hmm. And right now, we're in the Passport Bros era. We're in the Passport Bros season. So I think these ladies got a little something more to talk about during their little parties tonight when they're gathering up together. Because while you think you're doing so much better than these men because you think you have all of these professional accolades and degrees and credentials and everything that most brothers don't have. Well, brothers are out getting the women that they really want as wives. And I don't see white guys caping for you. I don't see the Hispanic guys caping for you. I don't see the Asian guys caping for you. And with brothers actually finding greener pastures overseas, then I think they're kind of running into face to face with the stupidity of this. But you know, man, I was just thinking today, right? Most of us, most men and most black men especially, are pretty romantic, right? We're pretty romantic, and we like that stuff. We like treating our ladies nice. We like dressing up really nice with our lady when she's cleaned up well and dressed up nice, and taking her out on the town and looking good together. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes we appreciate that more than they do. You know, and I know this whole holiday was based around, you know, florists. If you think about it, man, if it weren't for Valentine's Day, they would have no boost, right? Because nobody buys Christmas flowers, right? And birthdays are all random. Deaths are all random. You know, graduations are pretty kind of close to the same together. But you know, so I understand the commercial reasons for having this holiday, right? Because you really don't have to buy flowers any other time of the year. And chocolates we could all do without, you know what I mean? And you know, the Jews are always willing to sell more diamonds and more gold to you any time of the year. Mm-hmm. So you know, but I could totally get that. But honestly, man, I mean, you know, I wouldn't want to just randomly simp, right, for somebody who's not worth randomly simping. Right. But I think that that's something that men have. We have more of a place in our heart of especially as black men, right? Of wanting to be chivalrous and wanting to treat women well and stuff. And
but the problem is that it's used against us. That's the issue. So it's not so much that, you know, we want to do those things, and I've done it, but I'm very selective about it because I know how it can be used as a weapon against me. It can be used as a tool of manipulation. This guy, you know, I can, how much more stuff can I get from him rather than appreciating that which I give to her. And so finding those women who do genuinely appreciate it, and they're not expecting, you know, the sun, the stars, and the moon from you, in addition to the flowers or candy that you buy her or the teddy bear or whatever. and using you, manipulating you emotionally in order to get more out of what you want from what she wants out of you, and giving as little as possible back in return. So that's kind of like how the game is.
That is.
I want to be more. I want to be more romantic. I want to be more of those things, and I've done it. But you have to be careful not to do it so much to the point for any girl that you think might appreciate it, but then she'll turn around and use some sort of judo mind tricks on you, and now you're stuck into her world because you're too emotionally involved, and they know it, and they use it against. So that's the issue, is that it's used against us. Whereas with other more women who are more traditional, perhaps, or even more foreign women, they're not to say they don't use that against you, but they have less of a propensity to use that against you. They'll say to you up front, well, this is not going to go anywhere, or I appreciate it, but no thank you, versus someone who will take that from you and then lead you on to believe that something more is going to come. So it's this whole cat and mouse game that they play. So you can't, it's almost like you want to do it, but you can't do it.
I know, because so many women in our American society have that combative attitude toward men in general, like it's some big warfare going on, and they just have to disrespect you, or they have to try to put themselves above you, or put you into that simp box, right? That's where you don't want to be put. When you do something nice for them, and you do something romantic for them, then they immediately, oh, well, he's emotional, he's a sucker. Well, no, actually, baby, you're the feminine one. You're the one who's actually supposed to be more emotionally into what I'm doing for you than I am, right?
And receiving it, with an open heart.
With an open heart, instead of reading into it that I'm a sucker and that I belong in the sucker boy category from here forward.
Yeah, that's how it is.
It is.
What's your take on the Ingram?
Well, that I totally agree with the brothers. The problem here is this is a cultural problem. And it's a problem here in the West with these feminists and these modern women, because you don't have these problems with traditional women, with traditional mindset from traditional culture. Because men, we're, like your brother said, we're very romantic, and we don't mind rewarding women for what's earned.
Yep.
The word is earned. The problem with these modern women is they want to be treated special in romance. When they have it, they don't deserve it. They haven't added any value to the man's life. They haven't brought peace to the man's life. Some of them haven't provided him the physical benefits that a motivated woman should provide. You know what I'm saying? So they haven't really taken care of the man or looked out for the man, and they want to receive these blessings. Mm-hmm. That's what men have a problem with.
Right.
So, because, like, for instance, like, I don't care about spending money on Valentine's Day for a woman that deserves it. And that's where the disconnect happens. And this is a cultural problem that we see, especially in the current Black culture in America, is that wanting the unearned. Do you deserve flowers? Do you deserve to be? You don't get treated special just because you're a woman and have a woman's organs. That's what they want to get stuff because they have women's organs, and maybe they let you use it every once in a while. That's the problem.
When they're horny.
They think that's all they have to do. That's what modern women think. They think that that's all they have to do for you.
I've actually done it more so for women who haven't like that physical or the sexual aspect of it. Like, that's not even a requirement. It's the appreciation, the gratitude, and the feminine energy, the love that I get in return. It's when I feel like my energy is being poured and and I'm being intentionally manipulated in that way, then I'm forced to pull back. But it's the women who, I don't need anything more from you than just a simple and a genuine thank you. I appreciate it. And that can be all it. That can be as far as it goes for me. Now, some guys might want something more, but for me, if I'm genuinely doing something, it's because it comes from something within me as a man to want to give. I guess that's the provider instinct, right? So that's something that's what that manipulate. It's knowing that we have that instinct, and then you having to force yourself to shut it off or dial it back so much to the point where it feels unnatural not to give. But because you can be manipulated for using your provider instinct in a natural way, now you're having to dial it back because they're going to use it and they're going to take that and manipulate that in some way. So that's what that is. So the only resolution I found is just to hold back and just kind of let them show me what they want, how they approach me. And if they deserve it, then it's something in me that wells up, and I'm like, okay, I want to go ahead and buy her this, or do this for her, or whatever, or buy her a gift card or whatever. And those are typically the women that genuinely appreciate it. But I have to sit back and observe their behavior over a longer period of time, as opposed to maybe like a woman I just met or when I might want to date. This can take months before they see anything from me. And then that's how I know, okay, this person is actually genuine. But as far as taking a woman on face value, it's not. That's dangerous. That's a dangerous game to play. And that's how a lot of guys get hustled and suckered.
Yeah, but did you see how toxic this is in the West? Look at the things that we're talking about and thinking. Look at the game that we have to play as men. And like they're going to a boob fest, I call it. We don't like going to sausage fest. We understand the balance of energy between men and women and how we were designed to be together. But because we live in the West, we have to play this game. And that takes energy. And that's why, it's like, it's imbalance. It's unnatural. Those women at that party, at that Valentine's party, that's as dysfunctional as it is. Like I said, most of those women are probably suffering from depression. If I'm taking
they're on pills. They're on pills. Yeah.
They're pills. Yeah, they're on the antidepressant because that's unnatural. Yeah. It's unnatural. If you told me I'm going to a boat party and I showed up there and it was a sausage fest, I'm leaving. I'm like, hell, I'm not doing that.
Either that or when do the dancers get here, right?
Right. When do the Yo, you tell me you set up a whole party and no women? Like, I wouldn't even get on that boat. He's like, we're going to go out on this yacht party and you like no women. Yo, go get some. We got to go get some women, man. It'd be a terrible party. I'm not going to that party. Oh, hell no.
And the thing is, man, I was dealing with this young lady, and I guess I should stress young. Should be ashamed of myself. But still, as a clinician, kosher clinician, I'm sure you understand. Right. I'm a neurofeedback clinician. Okay, and this girl was very pretty, man, but she had one of the most dysregulated neocortexes I've ever come across. I'm gonna be honest with you. She had addictive behaviors. I mean, I could see specifically where on her head I had to put the probes to train her away. Right? She actually needed my help. This wasn't even a matter of I could do something symbolic and she should appreciate it. No, this was a person who actually needed my help. And I tried to be as generous as possible. And of course, my time as a clinician, as you know, my time is how I make my money.
Right.
I'm giving my time. I'm giving my livelihood to you for free, and still having that overlooked and having that gaslighted and minimized. And like I said, you give them an inch and then they see how far I can get away, how much I can. And show him that I don't appreciate what I'm already getting from him.
Or pretend that I do so I can get more out of him. And it's like, it's this.
Or love bomb. Yeah, love bombing. Yeah.
You have to do to them what they do to you in order to really get ahead, mostly. And this, I tell a lot of guys this, like, how you talk to so many girls? I'm like, you got to do what they do to you. What do you mean? Well, they manipulate, control, and all these other things. It's like this dark stuff that you might not want to do, but if you want to get anywhere with women here in the States, well,
you got to assume the dark triad like them, right? You got to be narcissistic, Machiavellian, and psychopathic all at the same time.
Yeah, and be consistent.
And you got to watch the give to receive setup. I call it the give to receive because there are some women that will try and give you stuff. Not because they genuinely want to give you stuff, but because they want to set a standard as to what they want to receive from you.
Right, that's true.
And you got to watch that too. You got to watch that game too. You see what I'm saying? It's just like judo out here, man.
Right.
You got to watch the give to receive.
Hold on, guys. Because Bruce Lee said that dealing with these modern day women, Bruce Lee said you guys got to be just like water, just like when it comes down to yourself with that dusty avatar. Hold tight.
That's ISO. Rack it up. I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up. She got her hands on her knees.
So, guys, being like water basically means that when it comes down to insults, you got to be fluid, meaning you got to let the water roll off your back like water rolls off a duck's behind. But also being like water sometimes means you have to be like pressure or be like be static, meaning you fight them with the same power they give you when necessary to protect your ego, your mind, your soul, your body, and your spirit. Mr. Palmer said you got to change the law in your mind. In the clinical world, we call it cognitive restructuring. How have my man Devin Locker restructured his psyche when it come down to dealing with modern women and the shenanigans of Galentine's and Valentine's Day, and then to Peaceful Life, and then Yusef?
You know, brother, I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's days like today that, you know, you don't want. I mean, I could very easily go to the club and pick up a lonely one. You know what I mean? who's out supposedly having a good time with the gals, but like I said, as soon as the brothers step in, they're gonna all start side eyeing you, and looking at you, you know, and competing over you. But you just got to find one that's worth spoiling, and then take these times and spoil her. You know, I salute the passport bros. I was a passport bro since I was 19 years old in the Air Force, and I was stationed in Spain. I didn't even have a passport. I was stationed overseas, so I didn't need one. But I learned early on in the game that the traditional ladies, especially from the older cultures, are pretty much where it's at if you're looking for a quality relationship. You know, would you say Peaceful?
No, I mean, could you rephrase the question again, man?
He was saying, how do you adjust to the modern woman's, you know, interpretation of Valentine/Galentine's Day, you know?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you don't fall for this. The biggest thing right now. Whoa. The biggest thing right now, I think what you have to understand is that with them, nothing is never really given to serve you. It's all about serving them, because we're dealing with a very narcissistic type creature with the modern woman. So everything that they do is about self-serving, because they're raised and then they're to believe that men are supposed to worship them. Men are supposed to worship the ground, and all they have to provide to a relationship is what's between their legs. That's what they think. And they think that you should be lucky to be receiving this, which every woman has all over the world. So they're not raised to really pour any value into men. They think that men are supposed to serve them. And brother,
if they value it, that box, that golden cookie, right, so much, then that's only because of experience. That's only because they have learned that was their tool, their instrument to manipulate several other men before you came along, and they don't even realize that lowers the relative value of the box, all the traffic you've had. It's really, you know, by even expressing your sexual wiles as a power, right, is just turning me off to you altogether, because now you have no sexual value to me because you got too much mileage, you got too much traffic going through there.
But that's how and then not only that, their mothers and their grandmothers tell them that you're supposed to use this, or this is your tool, to control a man, as opposed to, you know, a woman that's traditional or comes from a traditional culture that looks at her total virtues as a value and her ability to bring a man peace as a value.
Yeah,
you know. And that's the biggest problem that you have. But right now, dealing with the modern coach, the best thing right now, to be honest with you, most of the dudes are just, well, I think, what's his name, Black Ram said it, catch and release, and just waiting for the overseas market, to be honest with you. And it's really dope. I mean, at this point right now, it's really no, unless you can find a 5%er, a traditional woman in this country, a 5%er, I call them. Right now, I think the better market is probably overseas, maybe Asia, maybe Africa, maybe in South America somewhere. Right now, it's just no need to really deal with them, and there's no utopia anywhere. But the mindset and the mentality, I think you just got to exercise relationship capitalism and just why deal with this market? Why play the game with these types of women? Because it's really, you're going to end up getting burnt anyhow. So why not just, if you play the game too much with them, it takes too much effort.
Yeah.
To deal with women that were not programmed to serve men or honor men or respect men or value men, because you're trying to get them to do things for you or do things with you that women naturally do, that are and that are in alignment with their nature. They're feminine naturally.
And you're trying to set the example by doing it for them, but they're not reciprocating. They're going deeper into their masculine identity because you had to dip into your feminine identity just to try to show her an example of how you're supposed to be treated by her.
Right.
Interesting.
It's very interesting, isn't it?
It's a crazy dynamic out here, man. These streets are, because you're dealing with a woman that's out of balance with nature. Because the masculine is what we are. We don't switch masculine feminine. Either you are or you aren't. And I know people have all these different whatever, but I'm talking about heterosexual people. And that balance between, we're in our nature as masculine men, but they're out of balance with their nature. And what are we doing? I mean, what are we compensating or trying to, as opposed to a woman being feminine and providing that natural feminine energy, we're trying to extract it out of her by some form of manipulation, which creates a toxic environment. It's just
and they're the ones standing there saying that is something that they can turn on and off, and that you can meritoriously earn her femininity. Really,
right, yeah.
I have yet to see one. Right, I have yet to see an American hyena all of a sudden jump feminine because she's with the 6'4" millionaire.
Right.
I have yet to see that happen in real life.
That's what when I hear brothers say that this femininity thing is all about money and putting a woman in a position to be her most feminine self, I basically lose my mind, because it doesn't make any damn sense that you have to, like, who puts you in a position to be your most masculine? Somebody has to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a man. Like
how you do anything is how you do everything.
Right. Now you gotta pay for. Now you gotta. That's why I laugh at these guys in their face. You tell me you gotta pay women to be feminine.
Right. That's essentially what.
Right. Like it's an act. Like it's an action.
There's a switch. There's a switch on the back of her neck. You make $100,000. Turn on the feminine button. What the hell is going on in this country?
Exactly.
That's madness.
It's complete madness. I was dating. I don't want to get into it because she's on the IMDb and stuff, but a pretty successful sister in Hollywood, and we were involved for like 3 years, and I remember when I met her, she was working on Melrose in one of these boutiques, and an Arabic lady came in, and of course you could tell she was wearing the headgear and everything. She's traditionally dressed, and she had a really traditional relationship with her husband. And he was gentlemanly, but he was basically telling her what to do, and by American standards, and she was compliant and agreeable and everything. And one of the other store managers made a comment about it, and she retorted like, "Yes, I'm happily married." And then she goes, "And he's worth it." She said that to her husband. Well, the sisters that worked in the store, they interpreted "he's worth it" as in, he's a rich Arab guy, probably some oil tycoon guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And therefore, that is what makes him deserving of a traditional Muslim wife, which is what the lady was representing. It's sad.
And what people don't understand, you made a very valid point. I'm going to do a show at some point talking about masculine box versus feminine box. It's going to be very comprehensive. Because box alone, guys, will not keep a masculine man of value in a relationship. I'm going to say it again. Box alone will not keep a masculine man of value in a relationship. Now, listen, a man that has a very primitive ego, meaning he's very repressed, or he have a very regressive mindset, or he doesn't know what his worth is, or he's not used to women, then box will keep him in a relationship. But men that have high value and evolve, a woman leading with box alone will get her in the relationship, but it's not going to keep her. So what women don't understand is that because box now, it doesn't have as much value as it used to with Devin and Ingram when I was in high school. That was in the 90s because it's been given away so much. So guys don't see box as special anymore. It used to have some more redeeming value to it, but now it doesn't. There's a biological need that all men have to release, but they don't value it as much because you become desensitized to it the more you see it. Right. What's your guys' take on that? Go ahead.
We used to put it on a pedestal.
yeah, and also too, and there's a big difference between delivered box and extracted box. That means a woman. Delivered and extracted. That means this dude is doing all kinds of dancing and simping and pandering, and maybe he gets a marital missionary once a week if he begs enough. And then there's the type of box where a woman is all over you because she values you, she's passionate about you, and she's draining them balls with enthusiasm. Right. There's two different types of box because a lot of you got to watch some of these guys because they'll talk about, well, I got a wife and all that stuff like that. That dude's begging, he's begging at the end of the bed. Or a woman is reluctantly giving her body, she's reluctantly giving her body to the guy because she feels sorry for him. I don't want to get too much in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a different type of delivery here. Delivery versus sympathy. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm in a relationship with this guy. He's spending a lot of money. I guess I have to sleep with him. As opposed to a woman jumping your bones. There's a whole different world. There's a different experience.
You see, that is a very good point, man, because very, very significant to this holiday, because the whole idea, the whole concept behind St. Valentine and that love that St. Valentine represents and celebrates is actually the new love, that when the relationship is fresh, when you actually still have respect for each other and you're still on your P's and Q's because you don't want to mess up a good thing, and she's there and you're there, and the trick for any relationship is to try to make that period last as long as possible, because somebody's going to fart in front of the other one eventually, right? Somebody's gonna cut one, and so eventually you're gonna come into touch with each other's raw humanity, and you're gonna have to really make the cool hard decision of whether or not this person is overall worth it being with you or not. But that beginning time when love is new and fresh, and you still do have romance, and hopefully you have that good passionate sex where she's just as passionate for you as you are for him. But a lot of people who never had it don't even know to expect it.
Dude. But I'm saying, like, people gotta be like, you know what I mean, like, because I have to get to these guys, man. That's why, look, I always talk about quality, right? I always talk about quality. That quality and value is what I talk about. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm not I told them, I'm not anti-marriage. I'm not pro-single, pro-marriage. I'm anti-torture. Right. I'm an anti-torture guy. If you're married and you're happy, great. If you're single and you're happy, great. What I look about is the quality of the experience. And like I said, don't tell me you're married and whatever, you're getting boxed and you gotta jump through hoops and do the hokey pokey and turn yourself around 10 times for the woman to sleep with you, as opposed to a woman. You get in some dry wop at the end of the night. That thing is dry as hell because you don't stimulate this woman and she's not excited about you. Right. And you say yourself, you got a woman. You don't got a woman. You got a problem. You know what I mean? Like that's not life. That's not living. That's living a life of suffering. Right. I don't think that getting a woman that's not motivated to sleep with you, that's not living, man. That's like self-torture. So
and with modern women using the box to manipulate men so much, it's really hard to know if they're into you, even if they're acting like they're into you.
Right.
Well, I mean, you can tell by the attitude and the mentality of how they give themselves to a man, whether they're into you, whether they're willingly or cooperating or not. Because like I said, just like men buy those flowers under duress, there's some people feel like I guess it's time it's time to service this dude. I guess it's been a while. You know what I mean? Like
a tune-up at a mechanic shop.
Yeah.
And that could be part of the dynamic too now. You know? One of them paddles, one of them leather paddles.
just like Valentine's Day, to do like, man, I gotta buy flowers with this woman. I don't even like her. You know what I mean? I don't even like her anymore. You know?
So listen, guys, real quick. Starting with my man Devin first. Talk about your Valentine hustle experience. Then my man Lamar Latrell, you talk about your Valentine hustle. Valentine hustle experience. And then Ingram. So go ahead, brother Devin, your Valentine hustle experience.
Well, honestly, I haven't been hustled on Valentine's. I have been fortunate enough that, you know, with the women that love me, you know, I give them babies. so you know, when Valentine's Day come, you know, I really do owe them something. You know what I mean? So I got love for all three of my baby mamas. I just want to give y'all a shout out. Happy Valentine's Day. And during the time that we were together, it was honest and good. And like I said, you know, if I'm with a woman, I enjoy it, man. I enjoy it all, man. I mean, you know, I enjoy the look on their face when they get flowers. I really enjoy going out, you know, other places, you know, with your lady and you dressed up and she dressed up and all the other ladies in the place looking at y'all and stuff. But now I haven't gotten rolled over. You know, like I said, when I came of age as a sexual being between the ages of 19 and 25, I was in Spain. I was overseas in the Air Force. And so at that time, it was nice, man. You know, it was nice. It was pre-internet, and in Spain in the 1980s, they had just gotten rid of Franco in 75. So they were going through their 1960s sexual revolution time during that time, you know. So that was really nice. I just wanted to give a shout out to the Passport Bros. And I know that it's difficult and scary, especially within the Black American community, because we tend not to travel internationally. But I'm glad that these brothers are out here facing this fear, because on the other side of that trip, you are going to find traditional women that are worth, quote unquote, simping for.
Brother Ingram, your Valentine hustle experience during marriage and before marriage or after marriage?
I think the worst hustle experience I've had is, see, there's a different experience, okay? Because women are different under contract in the distance when you're dealing with modern women, not traditional women. Contract in marriage is a totally different experience over time. So, but in terms of that, my only experience is when a woman has tried to set a standard for how she wants to be pampered, not doing something for me, but doing something for her to get me to do something, you know, doing something for me to get me to do something for her. So it's not really natural giving. I've had that experience, and that's a bad experience. That's not really giving or love. That's just looking out for yourself, to be honest with you.
You scratch my back, I scratch yours type of deal.
Or I set a standard of how I want my back to be scratched with this royal brush. That's how they do it sometimes. So that's been my experience with that. But like I said, marriage is different. Like you really haven't really, like when you go to the distance with a woman in a marriage, you kind of learn, you can almost finish each other's sentence after a while. So you're very accustomed to each other's habit. That's why it's really important that men marry traditional women. It's very important because they're just cultured to be wives. And there's also a family that holds them accountable, mother, grandmother, and all that stuff that support marriage, support relationship. And they want to make sure that man is taken care of. Because these women, that woman is not government power. That man is future wealth. That man is provision, protection, and we want him making money. We want him happy. We want him. He's a value to this family. So they make sure the man is taken care of. Over here, man, they don't care. Grandma say, "What? He's supposed to be doing this for you." You know, so it's a cultural thing. This is a cultural thing.
Interesting.
Very, very true. Go ahead, brother Yusef. What's been your story, man?
I just, like I said, I haven't fell for the okie doke since I was like eighth grade. So that's all it took for me to learn my lesson. Typically they give me stuff, man. They send me letters and shit and flowers and chocolate and what you want to do so they offer me these things and I'm supposed to reciprocate, but typically they don't really. If I don't want to do it, I don't do it. So I don't feel like that, pressure of they're doing something for me, therefore I have to do something in return. As far as I'm concerned, my time and energy is my presence alone. I mean, like, just if I'm giving a woman attention and I'm focused on her and she lights up, that is the gift, as far as I'm concerned, I'm giving to her. That's been my mindset for a long time now, not since forever. But since about late high school, mid high school, I just kind of learned that's how it goes. That's where it starts. That's how the girls learn to start tricking men and manipulating. And I was in that simp category, right? 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, it switched. I stopped giving a damn. I stopped caring. I started just focusing on what I want to do and where I want to go, my dreams, my goals. And the same woman who was turning me away was the same one was turning on me. I was like, oh, so this is how the game works. Mm-hmm. So since then, I haven't had any horror stories or for Valentine's Day. Like I said, it's always been them given to me in some way, shape, or form. So I guess knock on wood, right?
Right. So one of the things I want to share, guys, is that, and you guys tell me what y'all think, but this is what I think. This is my opinion. Some people get caught up in the feeling called love, and I do believe that love is important in a relationship. But I don't believe that love should supersede your purpose as a man. Love is part of it, but it never comes before your purpose as a man. So many men, guys, have been hoodwinked by what I call the dopamine hit called love. And because of that, sometimes many men compromise their masculinity for the fleeting feeling called love. Starting with my man Ingram, what's your take on the fleeting emotion called love? And should men lead with love or should they lead with principles? And then we're going to end the stream in a few minutes, guys. Go ahead, start with Ingram.
For me, here's my thing on love. Love is respect to me, for men. Love is respect for me. If you love me with your respect. That's the way I operate. And respect, here's why I say that. Respect also determines how you're treated by a woman. So you want a woman to respect you more than anything else. The romantic side of love, because that's where you get the best deal out of a woman. When she really respects you, that means she values you. Because we treat people better that we respect. Because some women can love you and treat you like whatever. But if they respect you, they listen to you, they fall in line with your goals and your principles. So for me, love is respect. And that's really what all that matters. That's the number one thing that I would take love too. I take love and respect, but I'll take mostly respect from women. And that's what guys have to realize, that make sure that woman is in respect with you, not love, that love stuff. But I understand where you're coming from.
Right. Respect is it's like an alternative or alternate love currency. It's part of the love umbrella. But the love, so you got love as a base modality, right? Love in itself is like the base. But between that base, you have on one side for the woman is eros, which is the feelings of love. But then on the opposite side is respect, which is the love of a man. His currency is through the lens of service. His love language is mostly respect. Because the reason why I tell people that if a woman can respect you, that means she loves you, but she has to have mastery over her emotions. Right. When a woman can love you, and when she can control her emotions, if you get a woman that's in control of her emotions, then that means she can love you. But until she controls her emotions, she can't really love you. And the reason why I say that, because women are slaves of their emotions. But when she can control her emotions for the greater purpose of that relationship, then that means that woman really loves you, because she's not a slave to her emotions. Many women struggle with their emotions. It don't mean they don't love you in a basic way. But you'll know it's true love when she start controlling her emotions. That's when you know it's true love. Go ahead, Brother Devin.
Now, you see, brother, you made a very good point. And I'm going to say something that is very feminist, but most feminists would staunchly disagree with what I'm about to say. I believe in classical feminism. My idea of understanding that is a very good thing. It is an essential thing for women to have that unbroken chain of contact between mother and daughter, which resulted from the traditional home where the mother was home with the children all the time. There's always been a little bit of generational alienation between generations of men, right? Because of the darkened father syndrome, right? The father's gone 8 hours of the day. And so since the world is a rough, tough place with a bunch of sharks and everything, and my father's bringing home the bacon from out in that world, he must be one of those sharks. And so you fill that space with daddy being gone with darkness. So the young boy grows up kind of fearing and mistrusting the dad. But the woman is supposed to have that unbroken contact with an older woman, showing her every day by example what it's like to be a woman. And it is there that the woman who has more white matter than gray matter and is therefore more emotional than we are more rational. There's the older woman, the grandma and the mother that can tell the young girl that's a good man. You see what I'm saying? Because they recognize your character. They recognize that you're a solid man inside. They recognize, hey man, he might not be the one coming with the flowers and candy, and he may not be the cutest boy on the block, but that everybody's wanting to get with, but he's a solid man of principle, and he's going to love you in a man's way of loving over the long run, right? By actually giving toward you. And it's because of feminism that the woman has been removed from the home, and that benefit that little girls had growing up, always having that unbroken chain of woman to woman, direct rearing, right? Because it was mommy who was at home. So the little girls are the same gender as mommy. So they already always had that example, right? That has been broken. And because of that, and the I don't need no man and whatever, it's because of that our girls have suffered. And now they're out here twerking on tables, and they don't have the connection with someone who has sense, who has enough sense to tell them a good man should be appreciated and actually show them how to do it. But most feminists would hear what I'm saying and saying, well, that's not feminism because you're saying that it's bad for women to be out at a job. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, your point is consistent with theology. Let the older women teach the younger women.
Right.
Right. Let the older women teach the younger women. And they didn't do things based on our culture. Biggest issues that we get caught up in, how can I say it? We get caught up in, how can I say it? We get caught up in swag over substance.
Right.
Other cultures are more concerned about substance over swag. Now, women come into an epiphany when they become older. But by that time, the men that they rejected in their 20s, those men that they did the work on themselves, they begin to age like fine wine. They're a lot more cerebral. The social awkwardness might be gone. And those men are moving on to better women. But because so many women sadly saw men as an option, instead of seeing those men as human beings with needs and wants, they forfeited their rights, or they forfeited the opportunity to get a quality man in their youth. And what women understand is that it's hard to find quality men the older you get, because your currency is your beauty, your youthfulness, your chasteness, and your femininity. It declines. The femininity might not decline if you have not been tattered or battered by bad men, but the youthfulness does decline. That's why the gospel said that charm is vain and beauty is deceitful. Yeah. But who can find a virtuous woman? Femininity is a virtue that's learned and it evolves over time. But sadly, many don't understand that femininity supersedes box. Box plays a role in a woman's femininity, but it's the femininity that continues to harness the power of that box.
And in the working world, femininity does decline because a lot of women are working in positions that men would traditionally do, and they're all already in supervisory positions over men. And whether you realize it or not, you do have the occupational hazard of becoming more mannish, especially women in careers like the police department, right? And you know what I mean? I mean, let's keep it, call it what it is, right?
But brother Dev, I'm gonna challenge that in a good way, and I love you, brother. And in theory, I think your position is true. And what I mean by that, in theory, is that in theory it can decline, but it takes a cerebral woman to understand where she's at. Listen. Working in the workplace can impact your femininity. But if a woman is truly feminine at her core, a truly feminine woman is constant. She's a conscious woman. But a conscious woman, Devin, is a very disciplined woman. Because I'm sure you guys believe this. I don't believe you can turn on femininity off and on like a switch. Either you are or you're not. So what?
That's why we protect our women. That's why we have a natural desire when we find a woman, right, that they think, oh, well, you just want a child or you just want a slave or whatever. No. But when we see that innocence, we understand that that is something that deserves to be sheltered to a certain degree, and it deserves to be protected. And therefore, it deserves to be provided for 100% financially. A good man is willing to do that because they know that that type of protection is what is needed to maintain femininity in a woman. If you're lucky enough to find her before she's jaded. I mean, I'm just keeping it 100, you know? I mean, I just turned 58, but I'll go after a 20-something-year-old in a minute, you know, for that very reason. And it's not just because of lust, but it's because, you know, you don't want someone who's been battered and scarred in life, you know?
Go ahead, Ingram.
No, I totally agree with the brothers. You guys are making absolute sense to me. I mean, because that's really what you see out here, especially now, out here in the market. And that's why a lot of brothers are just going overseas, because you're dealing with the woman, but especially for guys who plan to get married, you're marrying the family. You got to look at grandma, who she's talking to, aunts, all the women that are surrounding her.
That's
even
right.
look at her father, because these are the people that are going to be in her head and that are going to be talking to her when you and her have a problem or there's an issue in the marriage. They're going to be the ones that are going to be mentoring her. And that's a huge thing that guys don't look at when they're marrying a woman. Her and what's behind her is who you really get into.
That's going to be babysitting for y'all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what, Devin, I always play the devil's advocate, and I do hear your point. And, some say, well, every man is different. I'm not going to knock another man's value. But I'm old school traditional. And you're going to laugh at this, but I'm a purist by nature. And I've always said that depending on the woman, her background and all that, and I'm being funny but serious at the same time, in the past, virgins got all bills paid. But then they began to get titrated based on her past. Some don't like it, but it's how the world works. But some will argue, say, if she's been with under a certain amount, say she's been with 3 to 5 guys, then we're going to pay 95%. We're going to still pay a high percentage of the bills, but it's going to be prorated based on
prorated.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be prorated, man.
Absolutely, man.
It's going to be prorated because, in the past, virgins got all bills paid, but rightfully so, because they were also feminine and they were trained to be wise. But you got women that come into a relationship, expect a man to pay all bills, but you're not a virgin. Some of them got kids by multiple men. And you want a man to pay all the bills? No, we ain't going to pay all of them. I'm going to pay, a percentage going to be paid, but you can't ask a man for traditional values when you're not traditional yourself.
Right.
Right.
And there's all reasons for that. There's solid reasons for that. You know what I mean? We're hardwired. We're hardwired to want a certain level of innocence in our women.
Right.
Yep.
We're hardwired.
We recognize it immediately, almost immediately. And I actually was browsing around and I stumbled across this because it's the type of woman that I personally deal with, but I don't see it that often. And I saw it on, it's not Fresh and Fish channel. It's just like a clip of this girl.
I'm going to play
and it's good, man. Like every man on this panel will recognize it as soon as they see it. It's immediate. And that's what we're looking for. Like you said, it's not about the box. It's not so much about the box as it is about the woman internally who inhabits it.
Right. I'm going to use this as a clip. This is powerful. Hold tight. I'm going to let the cat see it, man. Hold tight. Thank you, brother Joseph. Hold tight. Now, guys, this is the power of a true feminine woman. It's very raw. And true femininity is intoxicating. Once you get it, you'll never be the same again. It's almost like coming in the presence of God, man. Once you get an experience of it, you'll never see women the same. So this is true femininity. Listen.
Red flag. What about you?
Hi, my name is Jillian. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Canada.
The highest level of education completed was high school. I decided not to go to college, and I said I'm single, right? Another
Yeah. Just
single.
say, all right. Just one more time. And then what do you do for work?
I'm a writer.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
serious
girl.
writers.
So doesn't want to tell us what she writes.
Yeah. It's not for Vice though, right?
No,
Okay.
no, I saw that in the comments.
Yeah, fuck
No.
Vice. Okay. What about you?
Hi, my name is.
Ma'am, book a session.
Did you guys see the difference between that?
Yeah.
I saw the way Devin was smiling.
Yeah. She
That's
has
immediate.
Yeah, that's feminine. That is feminine.
That's
man.
raw.
That's real. That's real right there.
That's raw femininity, man.
Yeah.
And did you notice the contrast at the end? And I barely caught it. The one girl who spoke after her, how it was just it.
Oh yeah. That
guarded.
masculine.
Yo.
Hi.
They've been trying to talk against microchimerism, but I'm 100% a believer, right?
Oh, I believe it too, man.
Yeah. They receive cerebrospinal fluid through the semen of every man, and it all accumulates inside. That's why women start acting like the crazy knuckleheads that they've been with. I mean, water seeks its own level, and a woman's been with a bunch of violent knuckleheads. You're going to see her behaving like a violent knucklehead. And you could just see like 20 guys jump out of that girl that spoke after the you know?
That's it. And it doesn't even have to be.
That's interesting.
A different, like I've had women imitate me, my speech patterns, and the way I talk, and before I even penetrate. So you can get into their mind. So women are receivers by nature, and so they have to be careful about the type of men they interact with, even if they're not sleeping with them. Because the mind of a man can penetrate a woman. I can't be nowhere near as affected. I have more of a defense shield, we're more independent in our thoughts and our freedom mind. So we're not going to be as influenced. That's why we say, I got to push back on that. We got to, so we're more independent in our thought. A woman, she's going to be more absorbent, like a sponge of our thoughts, of our energy, and like you said, of our semen. And so, and when it gets to that point, now she's taking on the entire personality of a man. I've seen it happen to women who used to be virgins, and they turn into the man they used to date. And then I drill them, like, what kind of man was you dating? Well, I was dealing with this kind of man. And it's like, but you're acting just like that man now. You have morphed into the person that you became, that you come to hate. You don't even see it. And that's what happens to a lot of them. They don't see that consequence. Forget about the unwanted pregnancies. Forget about the psychological trauma. It's the adoption of all of these multiple personalities of men that they've been with. Right. And they don't see it. So when you see a woman like that, what we just saw on screen, by the way, she is a virgin. I mean, that's not something they say in the clip, but it's immediately, you can sense it, you can feel it. Right. And that's the difference. She doesn't have all of that around her, in her, and around her. That's it.
Exactly. And she deserves a dozen roses and a box of chocolate today.
Boom.
If you're lucky enough to have her attention and to actually be courting her and taking the time to court her, and the box would be totally worth waiting for, and all the rest of that. And the thing is, maybe that's part of the divine design. Maybe if maybe a woman is supposed to be, become one with a man when she is young and innocent and virginal, and because of the exchange of chemistry and spirituality and energy and everything else, merge with that one man, right? Mm-hmm. With fidelity for the rest of their lives. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, because if she is that susceptible to be influenced by the essence of all of these different men, imagine how bonded she would be to the one man if she had gone that route. Right. Mm. Imagine how bonded she would be right now. What kind of a dynamite relationship and connection she would have with her husband.
Right. And you know what? Very, very, very true, Devin. What you're saying is very profound, because theology say they become one flesh. When you look at old folks back in the past, Devin, when the man would die, Grandma Bertha was married to Junebug, but when Junebug would die, that's all she knew. So because she was so bonded to that man in soul, body, and spirit, many times that woman would die. But there's women that have had many partners or kids by multiple men, if they lose that man, it's no big deal. You know, they go right on to the next one. Next one.
They're on the dating market.
Next man up.
Yeah.
They'll use some of that. They use some of that funeral money, some of that money from the insurance, and go down to Brazil and get a BBL. Yeah. And hit the club. They hit the club. You know what I mean?
Wow. You get a bag of weed to smoke with the next dude.
Right.
and you know, a lot of women back then, guys, was like Shirley Brown. Shirley Brown said she was all for her man because, you know, a lot of women back then, they have a lot of fun. They were just like this.
Now you see, I don't want no trouble now.
That's what they was about that. They were all for that man. Those women were. Listen, when you look at women, Devin, from when we were in high school coming up. Now you're a little older than me. You like a big brother to me. Even though I'm old, you like a big brother because I'm 51. But you remember a time, Devin, where love music, romance, it was more normal. It was normal to ride down the road with that Cressida, that Toyota Cressida, with the 8-track, and flying down the road playing love music. Man.
Playing love music and singing ballads.
Right, singing ballads like LTD, Love Together and Devotion. Right.
Exactly. We taught America how to love romantically, and to a large extent, I mean, you know, to a large extent. Even though it's been co-opted and totally bastardized, right, by the you-know-whos, we still do represent that extra powerful sexuality. We will always represent the super dominant masculine sexuality on the planet, more so than our African brothers, more so than anybody else in the diaspora, more so than anybody else in the world. Mm-hmm. You know, we will always represent that potent sexuality, but it was the soul. I mean, that's for lack of another word, right? Soul. That's what made it soul music. Yeah.
Right. And also it came from the struggle, man. You know, I tell people, me, you, and Ingram, it was a pleasure growing up in Gen X, man. You're a little older than us. You're a boomer, Devin, but you know, it was a pleasure being
65. Yeah, I guess. Born in 65.
65. Wow.
Yeah. I just turned 58, brother.
Yeah. You're like a customer, but they consider you a boomer. But man, it was a pleasure growing up in that generation, man. You know, we had we had Andre Crouch, we had James. Well, even though James Cleveland was messing with them boys, but it was a pleasure.
Trails in the sky,
right? It was a pleasure growing up back then. We had our issues back then, but I wouldn't trade Gen X for nothing, man.
No, I wouldn't
trade it for nothing.
My son is 16 right now, man, and he's got an afro out to here. And I'm going through the struggle with him, and I tell him every morning, I'm like, boy, you got to pick it out when it's wet when you come out of the shower. But I think that was part of it, right? Struggling with those big ass afros. Yeah. We had a lot. We had a lot in our culture that was deliberately taken out. And we talk about the removal of the father from the home, and all of the issues that played into that. And you know, feminism, man. Feminism just hit us.
Feminism ruined everything, man.
It was brought in directly with the specific intent that it served, along with women's suffrage after black men got the vote, right? Because it pierced right down the black unity movement. You know, us wearing afros, for example, right, and being able to accept ourselves 100%. That's very close to the core of what we talk about every day with the passport bros and what's going on with our sisters in this country. You know, I mean, if they don't even accept themselves aesthetically, and we can say, well, it's because of the pressure or the white man's media or whatever the reason is, if it's gotten so, you know, entrenched in our mindset, in our paradigm, that who you are naturally the way God made you is unacceptable.
Right.
To the point that you must represent a freak of nature, you know, which was wearing a woman of another race's hair on your head, then how can we expect them to behave with anything but self-loathing? Because that's exactly what they have to represent every day in order to, in their minds, in order to survive and function within the world. And back at that time, if you remember the 70s, man, having the big afro, it wasn't just about a fashion statement. It was exactly that. It was that we are 100% in acceptance of ourselves the way God made us. And we need to get that back. I don't know if we need to get it back for everybody wearing froze or not, but we need to get the pride in ourselves back in order for us to start loving each other properly.
It won't happen in this lifetime. It's gonna take it's gonna take a total de-evolution, man. Ted the Pendergrass, before he died, said, "Not in this lifetime." He was talking about that song. You know what I'm talking about. Teddy said, "Not in this lifetime." It won't happen this lifetime. In theology, it said, unless God builds a house, the laborer builds it in vain. Until we get back to the principles of our ancestors, even though they weren't perfect, we'll just be talking. It's just foolhardy, man. It ain't gonna happen this generation, because you got to understand how systems work. There's a concept called systems theory. And unless you understand how systems work, systems take years to grow. They don't just come overnight. It takes time and they take years. So, but anyway, guys, it's been a great show, man. I love you brothers, man. Somebody said Gen X had some fine women back in the day, like Pam Grier. Yeah, they did, man. Real quick, Ingram, what you get from the show real quick, man? We're going to end it. We're going to take it to the Lord in prayer, but we're going to land the plane. But what you get from the show, Ingram, real quick?
Well, I mean, obviously, what we find out is that with modern women, they've pretty much been projecting a lot of the failures that have come from feminism. I think today is really the day of the miserable broad. I mean, a lot of projection going on, and I think it's definitely, it can't be good for mental illness. I'm sure there's a lot of, you check those medicine cabinets, I'm sure there's some stuff in there that they're taking to cope with the stress, but they had a choice, and this was an option that they chose. You know what I mean? People can learn. Kevin Samuels was here. So many brothers tried to teach. So many people tried to encourage. So this was a choice, okay, at some point. But ultimately, for men, we can't even really worry about what's going on with them, because we got to also look at a situation where we got to look out for our best interest. And right now, the best value that I see for men is in the overseas market. There's really not a lot of reason to. This just shows they are not really even trying to. They're not even trying to meet any of men's needs or care about anything that we care about, because their natural response to us, because they have so little respect or value for us, is shame and disrespect, because they're not accustomed to being competitive or competing for men. So inevitably, you're in a situation as a man where you got to do what's best for you. And that's what I think ultimately we're going to end up with, a new society of men like ourselves that travel, that have foreign wives, that have our own separate society with our own values that are mostly traditional and mostly conservative.
Mm-hmm. Right. I agree with that. Brother Devin.
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly, man. I think you're right. Not in this lifetime. And the passport way does really seem to be the way at this point, because we know what we want as far as the values that we want to raise our children with. And in these strong families that we're trying to build are what is going to build our communities and our nation within this nation. So, we may actually just have to look in other shores in order to get that particular need met.
Right. Brother Yusef, go ahead.
I mean, I think it's just ridiculous. Like, this Valentine's Day thing is kind of strange. It's this denial of needing or wanting to be with men in a not in a dependent way, but interdependent manner. Denying themselves of even that natural gift from God is insane to me. And on top of that, mothers calling themselves fathers on Father's Day, that whole disrespectful situation. And you got, of course, how they treated Kevin Samuels when he passed away. It was like that if we didn't know how much they hated us then, that was like kind of like the warning sign right there, or the writing on the wall, is that, if you still stay here and deal with the women who a large majority of them who had such vitriol for him and how they treated him after his pass. And then even if you disagree with some of the things he said, just the utter disrespect was just, I think that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
And I would lastly say that in terms of getting a passport, I know from experience that that's just not enough. Obviously, you need quite significant reason. You don't need to be rich to do it. But I know just from having traveled across the country, that's an expense in itself. And it's on every man to find out how to not only be remote if possible, but also to make enough money to be able to sustain himself while overseas. Yeah. Otherwise, you risk yourself getting stuck overseas with a passport. You got a passport, but now you're in a position where you can't really utilize it the way that you want to. You can't really do the things you want to. You can't move how you need to move. So you need to be liquid in some sort of cash assets. And that takes a lot of time and energy and intelligence. Some people have to switch careers, go into IT, in my case, Forex. And it's going to be hard work, whatever it is. There's a reason why those positions are coveted. But in order to even utilize it, this passport that a lot of men do have, because it's only $135. The real challenge is, how do you go about making it so you can afford to escape the matrix? Because if you can't afford to escape, which is the majority of men, we are just like the very, very, very tiny minority, then you pretty much you're gonna be stuck dealing with the options that you, or lack thereof, that you have here in the States.
Well, guys, it's been a good one, man. Ingram, thank you for tuning in. Brother Devin, I love your insight, man. Good insight. Very intelligent, brother, man. You guys brought a lot of good insight. Valentine's Day, guys, it appears to be a fleeting moment for many guys. All right, Ingram, be good, man. All right, guys, I'm going to drop you guys down. Brother Devin, come do again, brother. Love you, brothers, man. All right?
Yep.
All right, guys, we're about to sign off, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Been another good show tonight. Shout out to Layla Navosa. Thank you, dear, for tuning in as well. And then shout out for Brandon Jett for moderating. Brother Jett, Brandon, I appreciate it, man. You're doing an awesome job on the night, Brandon. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, Brandon, also for your service, man. Thank you for donating when you do. You are an awesome sponsor. I really appreciate you and the work you do for so many men in these spaces, you and XL Pro, and so many others that donate on tonight. Shout out to Dusty Nuts. He was the #1 sponsor of the stream. And, guys, I want you to continue to love yourselves, work on yourselves, focus on yourselves, and, realize that you have inherent worth and that you have inherent value. You have more power than you realize, but once you know what your power is, you will not only exercise it, you won't give it away to people that more or less don't see you as being great. Shout out to my man, Fitness Information. I need to catch your lives more. Yeah, I appreciate it. Fitness Information. Make sure, guys, to the 34 that are watching, that you hit all notifications. There are many people that look at my streams, but they're not hitting the all notification button. So, guys, make sure y'all hit the all notification button. Please do that as soon as possible. Hit all notifications. Share this stream, please. Sharing the stream helps the channel grow. And to the good sisters, keep going. And also to the good brothers, love yourself. Brother James, thank you as well. See you guys soon. Be well.
It's not my fault. You've been lying, saying that I took away your peace. Drowning by yourself, now you wanna blame me. Like you have no options. I ain't take your options. Nah, I'm not the problem. Man, that's on you, yeah. You've been terrorizing me, yeah, I'm always wrong. I knew you lost your mind when you dropped that bomb. Girl, are you crazy? Yeah, you must be crazy. I've been thinking lately it's you. You stole your peace, put it on me. But baby, it's you. Lying like a rat, but take your stuff back. Baby, it's you. Baby, it's What did you think? You could say whatever and I would never. Yeah. You've been flexing everywhere. Girl, look in the mirror. Man, you so dirty. Yeah, you look so dirty. You were never worthy. Lately, it's you. You stole your peace, put it on me. But baby, it's you. Lying like a rat, but take your stuff back. Baby, it's you. Baby, it's you. If I control the weather, then every day would rain on your parade. Shine, you can't shade, yeah. If I was Father Time, then I would change the day. So I never saw your face. What do I have to do to make you go? Oh, baby, it's you. It's you. It's you. It's you. Walk out that door, no, yeah.
They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just pull it out and count for nothing when I'm feeling great. Give my baby little more just to spend it, and I'm always on go, I don't hesitate. Used to always know I make it, yeah. I'll be me until I'm in the grave, yeah. See my record, had to set it straight, yeah. I made to kill like 10 times 10. I got wires coming in, some in euros, some in sec, some in dollars, some in yen. I've been trying to keep my zen, keep my cool. Trying to keep the family fed, get my food. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. Did it, do it. I did it all, no gimmicks. I did it all, no fibbing. Now I got all these children, now I got all these clones. Now I got all you twinning, now I got all you thinking like all you in it. They tried to count me out, they tried to fill that doubt. They tried to ride my wig, they tried to knock me out. They tried to count my wins, they tried to show my L's. They tried to make me in, they tried, but where they now? Where they? Step in the spot and they stare at me. All of these battles will bear me. I swear that nothing compares to me. Feeling blessed, I won't stress. Beat the odds, you know the rest. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend.